A very exciting National League game. Southend United against Oldham Athletic. Southend wearing their dark blue shirts with the gold stripe, dark blue shorts and white socks, playing from left to right. Oldham in an all white shirts with a blue and orange sash, white shorts, and then blue and orange socks, playing from right to left. Southend unchanged from the defeat against Boston United. Hayes in goal, a back four of Scott Morris, Taylor the captain, Goodliff and Gubbins. Morton sits in front of them with Hooton and Appiah Forson, and a front trio sees Macaulay Bonne on the right, Tom Hopper in the middle, Leon Parallon on the left. Referee is Kirsty Dowell, wearing the bright orange shirt, and she's getting ready to get us started with Oldham Athletic to kick off, which they will. Their team is Tom Donaghy in goal, a back three expected of Hobson, Raglan and Leake, with Caprice on the right and Kitchen on the left, Conlon, Rossiter and Gardner in the middle, with Harrod and Norwood up top. And straight away from the kick-off, trying to play it long down the right, it's a throw-in for Oldham, and it's the man who comes in, Gardner, who tries to pick it up, but Southend steal it off him. Parallon spreading it to the right where Macaulay Bonne has space to run into, and he gets roars of encouragement from the home fans around us, but Leake striding in to push the ball out. But a good position for Southend after the opening 36 seconds here at Roots Hall. A lot of throw-in, which Scott Morris will line up in front of those travelling Oldham fans. And Goodliff has made his way up. Not many Southend bodies in the penalty area, actually. About 5 of them outside of it. The long throw-in goes in. It's headed away. But Southend win it straight back through Hussein. Scott Morris gets a looping cross from right to left, but it bounces over everyone before Caprice is able to clear it away, but can only find Southend's Morton. It's good pressure from Southend, but Morton can't keep hold of it as Caprice wins it back for Oldham. He wants to stride down that right, but Gubbins will ensure he doesn't go any further. 1 minute in, no goals, Paul, but good intensity from Southend in that opening stage.
A bright start from Blues. Parallon did well initially on that left-hand side, cut in and switched the ball out to Macaulay Bonne. Shame he couldn't hit him with it because it was beat 1 against 1, but there's been a couple of vigorous challenges from both sides, sort of set the tone for what we hope is an enjoyable 90 minutes and competitive 90 minutes.
I'm thinking about what you were saying before we kicked off as well, Paul. The biggest difference I saw between Southend from the Boston game to the Eastleigh game was the pace of the ball and the pace of the players off the ball as well. Against Eastleigh, they were one-touch passing, moving it really quickly. Admittedly, Eastleigh did sit back on them, but they just didn't do that against Boston. They wanted to always play long through Boston. It didn't seem to work for them.
Listen, I've said it a million times, this Southend side in particular, but most sides are much better when they're going to pass the ball, are passing it at pace, and 1 and 2 touches, the ball goes over the top and Gubbins manages to pick it up. When they play it at pace, but not only do they look better, it's much more difficult for the opposition defence.
Oldham with possession inside Southend's half through Kitching down this left wing, tries to cross it in, but Appiah Forson intercepts. Leake will have a go now, pushes it forwards, but can't get towards the edge of Southend's penalty areas. Oldham keep possession, have to work all the way back to their defence, where Charlie Raglan will get on the ball, but has to go all the way back to Tom Donaghy. Only 2 losses in his 9 starts since he arrived on loan from Fleetwood in February. As Oldham tried to go for the aerial route and head it forwards, but are unable to do so, and the linesman Harley McKittrick likes as a throw into Oldham.
Yeah, see, little things like that make a huge difference. That ball was switched out onto that right hand side, and Joe Gubbins, instead of going and taking it on the bounce and taking it forward and then getting his head up, he's backed off, let the ball bounce, then he's had to go back and get it, and by the time he gets it, he's only got 1 ball left. It's like lump it forward. You've got to have confidence in your first touch and go and attack the ball. Used to get told as kids, amateurs let it bounce, professionals go and control it.
Ball cross is put in by Oldham. It's headed at the near post by Harrods, but not enough power on it to threaten Nick Hayes. He wants to get Southend moving quickly, launches it towards the right, but Bonne, even if he'd have got started a year before that ball was launched, he wouldn't have got near it.
Yeah, but to be fair, it's a great idea. You know, pick it up quickly, get the runner going out wide, ping it out into the corner. Unfortunately, he's just hit it too hard for him. Didn't give him any chance. But it's no bad thing, Oldham having a throw in deep in their own half.
And now they have their throw in deep inside their own half. 4 minutes played. Southend 0, Oldham 0 here on BBC Essex Sport on all frequencies and the BBC Sport website. Taylor tries to nudge it forward for Hopper to chase, but it will bounce all the way to Tom Donaghy, the goalkeeper, in almost neon green kit for the away kit.
There ain't many Oldham players dropping off to have it thrown out to them, are they? We'll go, right, you got it, we're going up in there, Rolf.
Yeah, they do want to play the aerial battle today. Donaghy sees the ball bounce just before the halfway line, but he's able to be won by Conlon, the captain. Although he can only find Morton of Southend, who nudges it forwards, and we'll go full circle. Another throw in for Oldham inside their own half. So it's about 1.5 years since Oldham last came to Roots Hall, where this club was in a very different place, Paul Clark, and it was, well, quite an extraordinary day really, with a 4-0 win.
You're going to say, do you want to mention the score?
Yeah, 4-0. Which I don't think anybody expected at the time we saw, but it just shows what they can do. Scott Morris was involved that day, got the first and third assist in a 4-0 win. Ollie Coker, who's on the bench, got the second goal. I was watching those highlights the other day, actually. Very impressive goals.
You've got to get out more.
I was outside while I was watching them, actually.
No.
Gubbins tries to head it forward but can only find Norwood. He tried to launch Harrott for Oldham, but Gubbins making up for his mistake. He looks for Macaulay Bonn, who could chest it down, but according to our linesman Paul Lister Flynn, he's offside. So it will be a restart for Oldham Athletic, but a first offside of the game comes after 6 minutes for Southend. Very much on the front foot in his opening stages, Paul Clark.
Yeah, just again Gubbins there. Ball's coming into him in the air, and he's headed it central, straight into the Oldham midfield player, and the centre forward that didn't challenge Gubbins has now run off him. Thankfully, the pass out to the wide man didn't hit his target. He's just got to be careful where he's headed it.
Kitchen picks it up for Oldham inside Southend territory, but he's nudged it over the wing on Southend's right. So it'll be a throw-in, which Scott Morris will take. Quite the crowd here as well. So what the Oldham fans brought a big drum along, which they're beaten to my right. Fans packed in all around us on this east stand, over on the west stand, the north stand, also in the Frank Walton stand as well. All bubbles over the byline. We'll go out for a goal kick, which Nick Hayes will line up. He wants his first clean sheet since the end of November.
That's not a great record, is it?
No, I think the last clean sheet for Southend was back in October 2023, the 3-0 win over Ebbsfleet, when he spent 4 games on loan here.
Yeah, and this blue side used to pride itself on the number of clean sheets it was keeping.
Again, we come back to that again, physicality, I think, in set pieces, and some manner some of those goals have been conceded in, but they'll certainly look to get back to that clean sheet. Last one for Southend was the end of January. Oldham trying to attack again through Rossiter, but can't find Harrott. They keep trying to find the number 26 for Oldham, but keeps being intercepted by Southend. Seems to have a good read on him at the moment. Blues in possession in their own half. It's spread from right to left to Gubbins. Has Morton on his inside, so the outside to the centre circle on the left side. Morton wants to go cross field to the right side. It's too much for Scott Morris. So a goal kick for Oldham.
Again, he could just do that a little quicker, James Morton. Not the ball. The ball that he decided to play eventually was a good idea, but when it was played to him, get on it, one touch, turn and look, and then it's on straight away. But he had a little jog to go and get it, then a little jog to turn, and then nudged it forward, and then played it, and by then the defenders have got back in position, and now he's got to play inch perfect ball, just a little bit quicker onto the ball.
Morton doesn't quite get the header right from the goal kick for Southend, but Taylor's there to pick it up and will retreat the ball back to Hayes. Decides to launch it forwards himself, aim for Bond's head, but finds a leak of Oldham. The follow-up is by Pia Forson for Southend. He can't find Husin. Leak wants to get Norwood going, but again intercepted by Taylor. So Gubbins staying a bit more back, and it seems to merge a little bit, Paul, when Gus Scott Morris goes forward, almost into a back three with Morton sitting behind as well. Yeah, it does. I mean, it's what you always used to do when you played a back four. If the right fullback goes on, the left fullback would tuck in. He's going to be offside. And the second offside for Southend, as Husin tried to nudge in Tom Hopper with the first time touch from the long pass down the left. Hopper just the wrong side of Raglan, so a free kick for Oldham. But a second offside in the opening stages for Southend, but Oldham trying to drive forward for Caprice down the right side. Has a man on his outside. Caprice wants to make the overlapping run, gets the ball back for Oldham. Takes it out of his feet, whips across in It's very heavy though, and Walkabout's all the way on the left side of the penalty area, and Kitchen unable to keep that one in, so go out for a Southend throw-in.
Yeah, so if your right full-back went forward, right side centre-half come over, left side centre-half come over, and then the left-back tuck in, and they used to describe it as being like on a 10-yard bit of rope, so as one went over it, pulled everybody over with them, and then the opposite would happen on the other side. The only problem with Blues when they do it, if Gubbins goes forward, for example, Gus Scott Morris is still 50 yards further forward.
That must be about the 4th or 5th misplaced pass by Oldham in these opening 10 minutes, and it's allowed Southend to attack. Parallel into the penalty area on the left side, cuts back, lines up his shot, save comes in, there might be a follow-up! And Keenan Appiah-Forson will nod it into the bottom right corner. Despite Oldham pushing forward, a couple of incisive passes, Parallel attempting, parried away by Donaghy, but looping into the air and coming in, probably the shortest man on the pitch, Keenan Appiah-Forson, to head it in. And Southend lead, a massive clash in the National League. Southend 1, Oldham 0.
Yeah, listen, enormous credit to Appiah-Forson just for following in, and then when that ball popped up in the air off the keeper's hands, of charging in to get on the end of it. But huge amount of credit to Parallel on that left-hand side, because the ball was slipped into him and everybody's coming at him. Such quick feet, and he turned on a dime, stopped the ball, checked back onto his right foot, got the shot away, and all the keeper could do was pump it up, push it up into the air. And as I say, credit to Appiah-Forson for following in. But well played, Leon Parallel. Brilliant bit of skill just to leave the defender on his backside.
Well, Southend showing what they can do when they get forward. Keenan Appiah-Forson, his first league home goal of the season since his arrival over the summer, and Southend lead 1-0 after 11 minutes, and really no less than they deserve. As I said, Oldham have been very sloppy in possession. When they've got into Southend's half of the pitch, and they have exposed themselves to the counter, and they've been caught offside a couple of times, but then they get it right that first time, Paul, and they've got their reward from it.
Yeah, as I say, it was a tight area, and it's a lot of players would have carried on to their left foot, tried to get the cross in, and the defender comes and blocks it, but Parallel sort of shaped to put the cross in and just stopped absolutely stone dead, cut it back onto his right foot, and it was all perfect position for him to get the shot away, and the keeper did well to parry it up in the air, but couldn't do anything about the follow-up, because Forson just, the eyes lit up and he just went charging in.
Certainly thriving at the moment, Keenan Appiah-Forson. 4 consecutive starts now for Southend. First time he's done that since he's arrived at the club, and now getting on the scoreboard as well. In the meantime, Oldham conceded a free kick to Southend inside Southend's half. Gubbins launches this, looks for the head of Goodliff as it goes from left to right on the edge of the penalty area, and it bounces over his head, so a throw in to Oldham. It's been rare for Oldham to find themselves behind. Only lost 7 times this season. Their last defeat coming at the beginning of March, a 3-0 defeat against Barnet. They've only lost 2 times on the road, the least of any team in the National League, but they've been breached here at Roots Hall by Kevin Mayer's side, who are back in possession now. Morton on the right side of the centre circle, wants to loft it towards Bonn. He should get onto that one, and is able to keep it in. Can't get past Leak. Is able to turn him away, though that will trickle out for a corner kick, and Bonn is getting the better of that battle on that right side in these early stages, as a corner kick is won first of the game. Yeah,
he's a very, very willing runner down those channels. I think it's detrimental to his goal scoring prowess, because he ends up in too wide an area, but he is a willing runner out there, and he gives you a good outlet. Just notice the referee, she don't like giving pushing, does she? No. There's been an awful lot of pushing going on, nudges in the back when people are going up in the air. She's having none of it.
Referee Kirsty Dowell with a firm grip on this game in the early stages. Morton with the corner kick from the right side, aims for the near post but headed away by Conlon, only as far as Hussein of Southend. Back to the corner taken Morton, but Conlon, the captain, wins it back for Oldham. He wants to get Harrott running down, but he's in a tussle with Appiah-Forson, who does take it off his boot as Harrott holds his hand up in frustration, but referee says that there was a foul and Appiah-Forson wasn't gripping legally to get the ball off Harrott, so a free kick for Oldham. Paul?
So she's not going to blow up for pushing, but she will blow up for pulling, and that's all it was. Appiah-Forson, lad's backing in, and he's wrapped his arms around him as he's put his foot around to hook that away as well. So it's more for pulling.
Well, Kevin Mayer and Darren Curry out in the outskirts of their technical area, getting their drills in. Was having a bit of a discussion with the fourth official, Will Bryars.
Yeah, well, we don't like giving away dead balls, do we?
First foul conceded by Southend. So free kick on this left side, 15 metres beyond the halfway line. Conlon to whip it in, but lacks any height on it, and Scott Morris is able to get there first for Southend. We'll find Parallon, now the top scorer for Southend, the Pireforce, and tries to get it off Conlon but won't. And again, his pass won't find a player. That, I count 8 failed passes now for Oldham.
Yeah, because their first thought is, right, just hit the channel, knock it into the channel, which is okay when they've got it in sort of their, I don't know, halfway into their own half, and they've got a big target, and every time they put it there, forwards are making those runs into those channels for them. They know it's going there, and they don't get disappointed. It's when they're picking up and around the halfway line, they're trying to hit exactly the same ball, they've got nowhere to go with it.
There's a message from Burge, who's come into us saying good luck to Southend today. We can still get into the playoffs, keep the faith. Listening to commentary from Vietnam, middle of the night here, but I'll be back to cheer the Blues on next week. Great to hear from you. Don't forget, you can get in touch. The guys waiting in the studio. I'll give you those numbers in a second. Meanwhile, Southend on the attack down this left side. Parallon again. He's going up against Hobson, the former Southend man. Will get round as well into the penalty area. Gets the shot away, but just comes off the outside of that left side of the goal. Will go out for a corner kick. I thought he might have snuck his way in, Leon Parallon, who is thriving at the moment down that left wing against Hobson, but the result is a corner kick for Southend.
Hobson's got concrete boots on, hasn't he? The way he went past him there, it was unbelievable, and he didn't do anything, he just glided past him.
Yeah, he picked it up. It was pretty much stuck in the corner on that left side, but was still able to get the turn away and get into the penalty area closer to the byline, and managed to get a shot away, but came off the goalkeeper. Morton with his corner kick from the left side, looks for the header, good lift, gets something onto it, and it will be a goal kick. That's about 4 shots now as well for the Blues. They lead 1-0 after 17 minutes of play, where they were leading up at Boundary Park in the middle of September.
We're going to have a close look at Leon Parallon and see what it is he does with his feet or with his body that moves defenders and allows him to then shift the ball and get away from them. Because it looks, when you look at him, don't look like he does anything, and yet he leaves defenders on their backside and just ghosts past them. It's a great skill that he's got.
It's about, as you say, Paul, it's about acceleration within 2 metres or 5 metres. But Oldham have won possession inside Southend's half. Rossiter wants to get them moving, but Conlon again can't find the run of Kitching. Loops it forward again, but Kitching had tracked back, so Taylor able to win it for Southend. Morton back to Hayes. He'll fire a kick from the penalty area, looks for the head of Hopper. He'll win it. Wanted to get it into Parallon, but intercepted by Conlon. Oldham again trying to go forward, but Morton intercepts for Southend this time. Scott Morris on the ball. Goes back to Taylor. And they are urging the defenders to stay back. Good position for them to be in, leading 1-0. No need for them to be rash in the way they go forward. Bond manages to get a head onto it, but can't find a fellow Southend man. There'll be a throw-in for Southend, just shy of the halfway line. And the referee this time blows, says, no, Southend, you've got a bit more territory. You can take the ball if you want to, Harry Taylor. He was about 10 metres behind where the ball went out.
It's interesting. Ricky Mellon just handed a note to the fullback, and he's just gone and passed it over to the centre half. And looks like they're going to have a little juggle around. Like they might go for it at the back, try to counter.
I think so,
something.
because Caprice was playing as a roaming right wing back, and I suspect that it's left Hobson exposed to Parallon. I think that's probably, as you say, what he's going to do. Good lift. Finds Parallon, comes off the back of his left foot to go forward, but Hussein didn't read it. Caprice sending it down the right for Oldham, and again they can't find Harrott, so another throw in for Southend. Still 1-0 after 19 minutes.
I'm just giggling because I just think it comes to something when you've got to have written instructions to go out to the players. Can't you just say, tell him we're going to back 4?
Is that what it was? Chinese whispers?
Yeah, absolutely. Send them
what's he going to do with the note for the rest of the game now? That's what I'm not sure about.
Swallow it, don't let the opposition see it.
He's having a good read of it now.
Oh, hang on.
And it's been passed on.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the most successful thing that's been passed on by Oldham. I haven't got any passes on yet. And again they give possession away as Bonn sneaks in for Southend, launches it towards that left corner. Hopper going up against Hobson. Hobson just getting there ahead and has to push it out, much to the delight of the Southend fans. It's a throw-in for the Blues on that left wing, about 5-10 metres away from that left corner flag.
Yeah, good work from Hopper, keeping Hobson honest.
Be Gubbins to take this one. Showed off his long throwing talents at Eastleigh, the Silver Lake Stadium, a couple of weeks ago. This time he goes short to Morton, who gives it back. And this has created space for Morton to whip across in. Goes low, but only finds the feet of Oldham's Hobson. His clearance, intercepted by Pyre Forson, who Sim wants to nudge it onto Bonn. I suspect will be called for offside, but... And that is what's been flagged. Referee just flagged it before the ball went out of play. So there'll be another restart for Oldham. 20 minutes in, third offside, 4 shots on goal, 2 on target, 1 goal for Southend to give them a 1-0 lead. That's the most important stat over Oldham Athletic. We're on all frequencies on BBC Essex Sport. Launched forward by the Oldham goalkeeper. Goodliff doesn't quite get the header right, and he suggested that Norwood made an infringement on him, and now the referee has brought a stop as Goodliff goes to ground, holding his forehead. I don't know if one of the physio will come on to look at this one, but Goodliff just staying down.
If he's got any sense, physio won't come on. Just give it a couple of minutes, shake your head, get up and get on with it, because otherwise you have to be going off again.
Yeah, he's up on his feet, nothing to worry about. No goals in the FA Cup between Brighton and Nottingham Forest in that quarter final. Crystal Palace already through to the semi-finals following a 3-0 win over Fulham.
Have a look at the drop ball. Look, centre forward was going, no, I'm not backing away. I'll let him have it, but I'm not going anywhere.
Clearly had an influence as Hayes got down to pick it up straight away, and he will fire another cannon from his own penalty area forwards. Bonn doesn't quite get to it as he tumbles onto the sponsorship boards in front of those Oldham fans. There will be a goal kick for an excellent long throw in is put in by one of the Oldham fans from inside that area of the North Stand, which I've got to say is majority populated now by Southend fans who are really packed in. And of course, there's a lot of work been going on at Roots, so we're great to see fans coming back in. They've opened up the North Stand, 2 home fans for these final 4 home games.
Yeah, just on that kick out from Hayes there, he's hit it way too long and wide, and so it just goes out for a goal kick as Parallon picks it up. Yeah,
Pyre Forson managed to win it from the goal kick. Parallon into Bonn for Southend, goes back to Morton, who's got a lot of space to operate in. The whip wants to whip it into Hussein, but intercepted by Rossiter. He gets moving down the right, but it just behind Harrott. Overlapping run comes from Caprice as Oldham get into Southend's half again. But once again into the final third. It's cross aimed for that far post, but Scott Morris was there to read it ahead of Kitchen, who had got in pretty dangerously as a Pyre Forson nudges it away from Dan Gardner to get the free kick for Southend edge of the penalty area.
So I was going to say, didn't have to well Gus Scott Morris there, because we say don't defend. Boy, did he have to defend there, and he did well to track the fullback all the way back in there, or what's now the left winger, all the way back in there, and got an important header away. But just saying about the kick from Hayes before, went out long and went out sort of halfway between the post and the corner flag. If you're going to hit it that long, straight down the middle.
Goes long again, does find the head of Bonn, but he can't find Hopper, and it's headed away by Raglan. Oldham tries to keep possession again. Rossiter though too high for Kitchen, who stands pretty tall. He must be about 6'3", but too high. But again, I'm just surprised that Oldham just very wasteful in possession at the moment, Paul Clark, and Southend will take that and just play right into their hands.
Yeah, they've been poor, and they would look like a foul throw as well, by the way.
Scott Morris with a long throw, and it will fall to Hussein edge of the penalty box. Macaulay Bonn with the volley. It comes off an Oldham player though midway through it. Southend still trying to scramble for possession, but Oldham do win it back, and now they can try to counter. Norwood though isn't able to get onto the ball from Gardner, and Taylor will pick up the pieces on that far side.
He's pulled his hamstring, I think, Norwood.
Yeah, he's holding the back of his right leg. He looks frustrated. Pyre Forson though for Southend in possession. He's back to Goodliff, edge of the penalty area. 24 minutes in, Southend United 1, Oldham Athletic 0 at Roots Hall in this late kick-off here on BBC Essex Sport. Ball has fallen to Scott Morris inside Oldham's half. Drifts from right to left. Gubbins has an overlapping run, but Parallon is in front of him. Now Gubbins gets it. Scott Morris running ahead of him. Parallon gets it back, but his first touch was heavy to give it back to Oldham. Norwood has definitely pulled his hamstring. He's on the edge of the centre circle now and looking straight at the bench. He wants to carry on.
Enough. No, he don't. He's had enough.
I thought he was holding his hands to say no, I want to carry on, but no. Quite a man you can bring onto the field though in Mike Fondop, 18 goals this season, top scorer for Oldham.
Oh, good.
Yeah, Mike Fondop got the equaliser for Oldham back in September in that 1-1 draw. Has been good for, got the second goal last week against Halifax in that 2-0 win. But meanwhile, Southend spreading it to the right side, where again Bond chases a space for Appiah Forson on the right side of the penalty area. He'll get to that ball ahead of the byline from Bond. Appiah Forson gives it back to Bond, whips it in, gets on the head of Hopper, can't quite find Parallon as it was on the left side of the 6-yard box. Clever move from the front trio, cross from Bond onto Hopper's head in the middle of the penalty area. Parallon trying to ghost on the left side but couldn't quite get anything onto it, so a goal kick, and we'll see that substitution now.
Yeah, the pleasing thing as well though, it's a midfield player that's run beyond Bond to pick that ball up, and then when the cross came in from Bond, Hopper's got a little flick at the near post, and there was Parallon coming in at the back post, very nearly got on the end of that flick as well. So nice to see, and the goal came about as well because of getting midfield players into the box.
So a new element to the game brought on much earlier than we expected it to. Oldham Athletics top scorer Mike Fondop. 3 years at the club, known to Billericay fans, spent the 2015-16 season there, and also Stanway Rovers the season before, learning his trade in Essex before making his move up to Oldham. He's on the ball now, let's just get a header towards that left corner for Kitchen to try and keep the ball in. She's managed to. High cross aimed from that left side. Fondop picks it up in the penalty area, juggles around Taylor, gets his face for Kitchen, but Taylor sliding in to win the ball for Southend. He wants to launch it down this right wing. Hopper can't quite get there ahead of Raglan. So Oldham still in possession through Conlon, but it comes off Appiah Forson. That will be a throw into Oldham.
Don't have time them slide tackles well, didn't they? Harry Taylor.
He does. Yeah, Harry Taylor. No minutes missed since the end of September, and ever present for the Blues. Is Leak with a throw in for Oldham. Aims it at Fondop. It comes off him, and Gardner will get Kitchen going again down this left side. Can't quite get the cross away as it comes off Scott Morris. So a corner kick, first one of the game for Oldham on their left. So the first test of Southend at set pieces this afternoon, Paul Clark.
Second ball. That's what it's all about. Don't let the man get the run of you on the first one, but defend the second ball, and then when it's cleared, keep defending until it's cleared 40 yards. And even when you're coming out, have a look around and see where the white shirts are. Don't just switch off.
Cross from this left side aimed at the near post, but Scott Morris the nearest one to it, and Parallon heads it into space, which Keenan Appiah Forson will gobble up. It's 4-on-2 for Southend United. Spotty's on that left side. Appiah Forson crosses it across. It'll come off a body for Oldham. Hussein chases that to the edge of the penalty area. Well, that was dangerous from Southend, and Appiah Forson just a little bit higher, he would have found Bon on that left side. A blistering counter-attack. Scott Morris though has it for Southend. Back to Appiah Forson, lines up another cross. That one will be a bit too deep as it will go over the byline on that left side, and a goal kick for Oldham. It's just those margins, isn't it, Paul Clark? That could have been a good chance for goal number 2.
Yeah, and one of his great strengths of Appiah Forson, he does everything 100 mile an hour, and that was one of those occasions where he just needed to slow down, get his head up, and if he'd seen it earlier, that switch, he had 2 on that left hand side, completely unmarked, but he took another touch, ran at it, and he's got his head down, chasing after the ball, never got the chance to get his head up. It's a good break though.
Very good break.
Look.
Blistering pace. Ball takes a second bounce from Oldham's goal kick, and Taylor able to head it into the path of Goodliff, who allows Gubbins to drive forward down that left wing. Rolls it to Parallon, but taken off him by Caprice of Oldham. Hobson, can't turn away from Hopper. It's taken off him. He wants to claim a foul, but won't be anything given as it eventually falls to Donaghy, the goalkeeper, to launch it forwards.
That's what I mean about Hobson giving you a chance in situations like that.
Caprice has managed to make some space into Southend's half. Conlon gives it back to the right wing back, puts the cross in but comes off Morton. Bond will allow it to run, and Scott Morris again gives them the space, and Leake has committed every time in that one, and now there's space for Bond to run forward. Keenan Apaya forces out on that left side. He wants goal number 2 today. Scott Morris and Bond combine. Back to Morton. And now Hussein. Pace comes down after that fast counter-attack to get back into Oldham's final third. Coming up to the half hour, Southend leading Oldham by a goal to 0. Hussein and Scott Morrison. Blues decides to go all the way back to their goalkeeper. And now foul conceded by Fondop as he was late going into the back of Taylor. So a chance to launch a ball forwards if Southend fancy it.
It's a sensible play there because the break was on, but they got outnumbered. They couldn't switch it onto that left-hand side. And in the end, they just went, OK, we'll just go back and we'll keep possession. A little bit sloppy from Marion Taylor inviting the challenge, but they got the free kick out of it, so no harm done.
Southend give possession away from the restart of the set pieces. They did play it short, and it's a throw in to Oldham through Jake Caprice. Got on the scoreboard earlier this month in a 2-0 win over Eastleigh. Has never beaten Southend in 6 attempts, 5 draws. Fondop can't keep Oldham in possession as Morton picks it up. Hussein, first time, wanted to feed Hopper, but he was in an offside position, and Raglan launches it downfield. As Harrott brings in Fondop, but can only go back to Conlon, who's trying to pull things into place for Oldham. Brings in Leake and Kitching, who drives him from that left wing into the edge of the final third now for Oldham, in front of those fans in the Frank Walton stand. Conlon has drifted out to this left side, wants to find Harrott, passing away from Taylor. He's managing to face goal, but Morton has managed to get between them, and Southend able to break away through Scott Morris. Parallon on the left side, has runners in front of him in Hussein and Gubbins. Gives it to Gubbins on his left.
Dear.
It was a light touch, but Caprice gets the slide tackle wrong and allows the ball to go beyond him. So Southend able to keep possession. Hussein and Parallon. Parallon can now run forwards as Gubbins on his outside again. Gubbins lining up the cross. It's been ahead of Bond, and it will go to that right of the goal. Good climb from Bond, just didn't get enough of his head onto it, so guided into that top left corner. Bounces twice before going over the byline on the right side. Still 1-0.
And again, howls from the crowd because there was just a little nudge in the back of Bond as he went forward for that. Just took him underneath it. As I say, this referee's disinclined to give any pushing offences.
Brilliant atmosphere here at Roots Hall. People packed in, barely any spare seats.
She looks good, the old girl, when she's packed out, doesn't she?
It does. It's very good, great atmosphere as well as the sun starts to get low. A few wispy clouds over top on this spring afternoon.
Proper football ground. Shame it's a falling apart, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, plans indeed, just sitting a few feet away from me. Tom Lawrence, the CEO, announced plans to revamp the East Stand. As Southend win possession off of Conlon. Apaya Forson wants to breathe in Parallon, but the pass was too light into the penalty area, and Hobson able to get there in front. Caprice wants to get them going. Harrott brought to ground by Gubbins, so a free kick for Oldham inside their own half. Take it quickly. Conlon wants to launch it for Fondop to chase this one, but Goodliff gets in there ahead of him. Apaya Forson lets the ball bounce, and Conlon wins it back for Oldham. Kitchen into Leake. Conlon continuing to run down the left side. Kitchen overlapping. Gets there ahead of Apaya Forson. Infield to Gardner. Can't find Fondop. Rossiter. He will find Fondop, the top scorer. Able to turn, but lateral to goal. Conlon opens his body into Kitchen. Has Leake on his outside, but Kitchen crosses it in. It's dangerous. It's still alive as it's been across by Garner, but way too heavy from him as it looped over everybody. Hands up in the air from Kevin Mayer of frustration. That chance was given to them, but relief that they weren't able to get anything out of it.
First time they've strung a few passes together, isn't it? And they suddenly looked dangerous. Blues just backed off a little bit, allowed options on the ball for the man on the ball. Thankfully, when the final cross came, he hit it way too hard.
Taylor has a little stumble as Garner just catches the boots of Taylor as he strode away towards the centre of the pitch, and he gets a word from referee Kirsty Dow. Not keen to get the yellow card out too often, Kirsty Dow. 6 games in the National League this season, 15 yellow cards. It was all about big occasions as well. We refereed the 2022 Women's FA Cup final. Southend get possession back. A There'll be a bit of a bruiser for Rossiter as Morton tried to launch it down the right wing and came off his forehead. I think there's only going to be a memory of this game for him, for Rossiter, whatever happens today, Paul.
Old pros trick. Put your hands up and then hold your head. Referee having none of it and gave the handball.
Those bruises will be on his arm rather than on his forehead. Fourth foul of the afternoon for Oldham as we approach the last 10 minutes of normal time in this first half. 1-0 to the Blues. Morton to line this up. 15 metres beyond the halfway line on the right side. Also
Keepers.
putting it across. Looks for good lift, but straight into the gloves of Tom Donaghy, who could climb without competition.
Yeah, poor delivery and poor challenge. Even though it's a poor ball in, someone's got to go and challenge the goalkeeper. Even give the free kick away if you like.
So Oldham in possession. Caprice can't go forwards though, can only go back to Charlie Raglan. And Conlon is trying to find spaces for the Latics. If you're wondering why they're called the Latics, our other teams called the Latics as well. Wigan are an example of that, but derives from the fact that they are called Oldham Athletic. That's where it comes from. Pyre Forson winning a throw-in for the Blues as the ball ricochets off the shins of Mark Kitching. 3 goals for him this season. The last one was the first in a 3-2 defeat at home against Solihull Moors at the beginning of October. Scott Morris for Southend, firing it towards the head of Hopper. Doesn't get there ahead of Rob Hobson. So his header loops out for another Southend throw, so from that they gain about 30 metres in territory.
They both bowled out of that challenge. Hobson's coming through, Hopper ducked underneath it, and Hobson turned his back on it. That's why it went sideways and out for the throw.
Scott Morris and Kevin Mayer having a word with the fourth official, Will Bryars, guessing about the distance of the throw-in. Heated debate, perhaps, is the best way of describing it. The Blues keeping possession on this right wing, looking comfortable in possession as well. Keeping shape, and they're giving Southend space on the ball when they're on it.
They are, but the tempo's got out of the entire game for the last few minutes, or it's certainly come down 10%, because you notice Oldham now started stringing some passes together and Southend are dropping back a little bit and letting them have it and just trying to keep their shape. Maybe just taking a breather, because they did start with intensity like we asked them to, and so they're not going to keep that up for 90 minutes. So have a breather, keep your shape, let Oldham pass it around in front of you and then turn it back on again a little bit later on.
Yeah, as we discussed on our own, chances building for Southend as Bond tries to head it into a dangerous area in the penalty area, but no other men in blue around it, as Donaghy is able to collect it for Oldham and launch it downfield. Wants to get Harrott involved, but ball bounces beyond him as Taylor ensures that, well, with a bit of help from a tumbling Kitchen, it does go out for a Southend throw-in. As I was saying, Southend getting a chance of him building at home. Last game I saw, the Aldershot game, 8 shots on goal, 5 on target, certainly more than that in the Altrincham win in March. 13 shots on goal in the Rochdale draw, 5 on target. They've just been building gradually. Number of chances they've been having on goal today, 5 shots on goal, 2 on target, and a heavy pass from Raglan. I don't think he's had a successful pass in this game yet. He was well in the middle of his own half on that left wing, went all the way back to his goalkeeper Donaghy, but far too much on it, and it goes over the byline for a corner kick.
And these, as a defensive side, these are the corners you always hated. The completely unnecessary ones come back and bite you very often.
So third corner of the afternoon. This with 8 minutes of normal time in this first half left, as a little bit light yellow hue makes its way across the Southend sky. Morton to put this cross in. Parallon is waiting close by, and he will get the ball. Decides to drive towards the penalty area, have a go at Caprice. Cuts inside him, gets a cross away, headed by Hobson, which was needed because Goodliff was waiting on that left post. That was a clever move from Southend. Bit more height on that cross from Parallon. Again, could have been goal number 2.
He was putting it into a good area, had a little bit of curl on it, might even have been drifting in at that far post if it had been over everybody and everybody had missed it. It was a really good area to hit. Nice to see a bit of variation on the corners. Be nice to see the floodlights come on now as well, wouldn't it?
Certainly would. We've got our desk lights on here.
I think the floodlights are on, that's the disappointing thing.
Hussein able to get a turn, tries to nudge it to Hopper but can't find him as Oldham win it back. Encouraging as well, Paul Cart. See Leon Parallon going up against another defender, Caprice, and is quite happy to drive at him. A couple of step overs, get the cut inside, seems to be brimming with confidence in this game.
Yeah, and the thing that I like particularly, which I don't think Blues have done anywhere near enough over recent seasons, is on the right hand side doing it. Ostensibly started on the left hand side, he's created the goal from that left hand side. Now they've had a corner this side, he's come over here, he's had a little go here, he comes in off the line when this ball's on this right hand side, so he's not afraid to go and look for work.
Oldham winning possession inside their own half. Listening to BBC Essex Sport with me, Warren Muggleton, and former Blues player and manager Paul Clark with me at Roots Hall. Parallon wins it back for Southend. Morton tries to get Hopper moving down the left. The long ball will fall to Donaghy, the Oldham goalkeeper, who launches it back towards the edge of the centre circle, which Goodliff will head away. Only to Oldham's Raglan.
Too short again.
Yeah. Fondorf hasn't really had too many touches of the ball since. He had a couple of touches in the opening couple of minutes since he came on to replace the injured James Norwood, but hasn't really been involved since then. With Oldham with possession through Conlon. He's been trying to get things moving, and Gardner ends up giving it away to Appiah Fortin, who gets a round of applause as he wins it back. Morton spraying it to Parallon, now over the halfway line, just ghosts past Rossiter, has Scott Morris out on the right, goes past another player, still moving here, he manages to get it out to Scott Morris on that right side, space for him to line up across, loops it across, Bond climbing, and it just falls into Donaghy, who stumbled a little bit as he tried to collect the ball. Bond, if he'd had a bit more height on it, would have got the power to put it into a corner, ended up looping it into the gloves of Donaghy. Still 1-0, but all the work of Parallon there driving forward.
It's knocked it offside. Yeah, he's picked it up, and again I use that word, he glides. It's just effortless, his movement, and he takes it up to people and toes it past them. As you said, he's got that change of pace over a yard, 2 yards. It looks effortless for him. Just a shame the little ball nudged through, just nudged it a fraction too far.
Coming close to another goal involvement on the board. He's got an assisted for the second goal in the win at Eastleigh a week ago. His last goal was the only one for Slough Town in a 5-1 defeat for them in National League South at the end of January. Penultimate game before he made the move to Southend. Southend with a throw-in. 4 minutes of normal time left. Don't forget, Tom, last and right, we're waiting to hear from you in the studio. You can text 81333 or WhatsApp 08000 321 333. Start your message with Essex. Give us a call on 0800 111 40 41. Send us a message on X at BBC Essex Sport or email essex.sport@bbc.co.uk.
Or get Mickey Mellon to write us a note.
I could. Where is the note gone? It's out there somewhere. It's Chinese whispers. Were you ever on for doing that, Paul? Did you, when you needed to get the message out to your player, or were you just said it and get it passed on?
Just call the nearest player to you. So go and tell Lingy to swap wings. Okay.
Southend tried to advance for a throw-in, but only find the head of Oldham's Caprice. Fondop has to come nearest to pick it up. Kitchen wants to advance. Foul was given away after a challenge on Fondop inside the centre circle. So a free kick for Oldham, just inside their own half. Only the second foul that Oldham have conceded. They tried to nudge it forwards, but a few jeers from the home fans, and also been spotted by Kirsty Dowell, the referee. They hint that that's been taken again. In line with the assistant, Paul Lister Flynn. Bright orange for the referees as well. Quite rare to see that. So you can't miss them, even if the floodlights haven't. I don't think they've come on yet.
Blend in with the stewards over on that far side, though.
They do. Must all shop at the same place. Parallon tries to win it back for Southend, but can't get there ahead of Caprice. Hobson keeps it alive. It's whipped in from Oldham from a deep position by Rossiter, but can only find the gloves of Nick Hayes. Probably not enough bodies on the edge of the 6-yard box to really threaten Hayes on that occasion.
No, it needed to be pulled back another 5 or 6 yards. As you say, the Blues defenders had pinned everybody around the penalty spot sort of area, and the ball's just fired in at the 6-yard box, straight into the bread basket. Nick Hayes.
Long goal kick, looks for the head of Bonn again, but Raglan gets there first.
Oh, that's a foul.
Brought down to the ground. Hussein a bit late onto Rossiter, and they won't take the free kick quickly. But Hussein walking away from that one. He just mistimed it.
Just be careful, he led with the elbow a little bit there as well, Norhusin. Thankfully wasn't spotted by any of the officials.
And Norhusin, certainly a man who enjoys playing Oldham. Scored the equaliser at Boundary Park when these teams met in March 2024 in a 1-1 draw. Got the second assist in that 4-0 win back in August 2023. Fondop picks it up for Oldham. But again, going backwards. Wants to go forwards. He has to go all the way back to the halfway line to give it back to Raglan. Spreads it out to the left with Leek. Wants to nudge past Bon. Bon keeps putting the pressure on as Leek tries to get past Scott Morris, but won't on this occasion. Appiah Forson ensuring that there's space for Scott Morris to take it off, push the ball off the boots of Kitching for a Southend throw-in. So we're getting close to finding out how much added time we'll get in this first half. 1 minute, according to the board of fourth official Will Bryars. Scott Morris to launch this one down. Finds the head of Hopper. Mawson tries to get them moving forward again. Will fall to Husin and Appiah Forson, who gets it out of a congested space for Mawson, who drives into the centre circle. Wants to keep moving forward. Husin from right to left. Is able to help them keep doing that. Brings Gubbins in. Into Parallon. And go back to Mawson for these last few seconds. I'll be happy to keep hold of possession, Southend. Keep spreading it. Taylor wants to launch it for Bond to chase, and again he'll get there ahead of Leek. He's had the better of the left centre back of Oldham throughout these opening 45 minutes, and Bond happy to have a shoving battle to see who can if he can keep the Leek away from the ball, and he does get a throw in out of the 22-year-old.
I mean, that's brainless from the defender. Why are you trying to tow it out and give them the throw?
Yeah.
Why don't you step back a yard and say, go on then, beat me?
They're drawn into one of the oldest tricks in them.
Yeah, what are you going to do? You're facing the corner flag. Try and turn.
Loney from Hull Academy. Here's a throw in for Scott Morris. Into Parallon. And there won't be time to get across with a throw-in, despite Scott Morris's remonstrations, as that half-time whistle is blown. On what's been a controlled and impressive first 45 minutes for Southend United, who really pressed from the start and got their reward. When Keenan Appiah Forson was able to pluck a high ball out of the air from an attempted shot from Leon Parallon, pushed out of the gloves of Donaghy, able to push it into an empty net to give Southend the lead. Appiah Forson's first home league goal of the season. Have been few chances. Leon Parallon really pulling the strings for Southend, getting them moving down that left wing, full of creativity, full of flair. A couple of shots on goal as well, but that was the best one that we saw from Keenan Appiah Forson. It gives the Blues a 1-0 lead over Oldham Athletic, who have been poor from the standards that they set this season, and Paul Clark, Southend just gobbling up the chances.
Yeah, for 20 minutes Oldham were poor because Southend made them look poor. They worked really hard, they closed them down. They pretty much looked like they'd sussed into what Oldham were going to try and do and hit the channels, and they dropped off nice and early and picked those balls up and kept people under pressure when they did get their foot on the ball. And they had the main threat in Parallon going forward, and it's so nice after all this time seeing Southend sides pass and pass and pass and go nowhere, to see a player pick a ball up and say, instead of passing it and going nowhere, I'm actually going to take someone on and I'll break the lines that way, and then the people in front of me can start running off defenders, and they've got a decision to make now. Do they come at me or do they go at defenders? And he's done it time and time again, and that's where the goal come from. They're never going to keep that up for 45 minutes or 90 minutes. You knew that at some stage they're going to have to drop off and have a little bit of a breather, but they were disciplined, kept their shape when Oldham had a little bit more possession. And let's be fair, Oldham haven't passed it well at all. Fondop looks a bit more of a threat since he's come on. Looks a bit more mobile, a bit more physical, gives them another target when they're out wide for putting balls in the box. But Blues have kept them at arm's length, and you'd say, well, Nick Hayes hasn't had a save to make.
Yeah. I should bring up, you talk about defending and discipline. Scott Morris has been a prime example of that, really. He's gone forward when he needed to, but a lot more often he's actually been back defending part of that back four as well.
Yeah, well, because Oldham changed it to a 4, then Kitchen, the left back, pushed further forward, and so now instead of being a wing back where Gus Morris can take him the other way, now when Gus Scott Morris goes on, Leek stays back there and says, right, I've got him, Kitchen stays out there, and now they've got that man further forward, and so Gus Scott Morris hasn't got licence to go forward as early and as often as he can. He'll still go there, he'll take a chance when the ball's on the opposite side, but it was a clever little switch from Mellon there just to change things around a little bit, stifled Scott Morris a little bit. Probably you'd argue a bit brainless not doing it from the start, because you know Scott Morris is going to be a big threat like that. So unless you've got someone playing really wide, there's almost, if I'm playing against Southend United, I'd be inclined to go, well, we're going to have a left winger and he's going to put his heels on that white line and he's going to stay there and he ain't going to go back at all, and I'm going to get my left-sided centre half and left back to look out and say, when Morris comes forward, you pick him up, and by the way, fellas, there's your out ball every time you get it. And now you're asking questions of Southend's midfield and Harry Taylor. So as I say, it took them 20-25 minutes to sort it out and change it, but it's Gus Scott Morris, as you say. There was one right at the back post towards just in front of the south stand where he did so well to get back, because winger was coming in behind him. It was a free header from 6 yards out by the time it had got to him. Gus Scott Morris had tracked him back, so he did really well disciplined in his defensive work there. And Taylor's done well today. We said before he's been a bit off colour over recent weeks. Looks more like himself today as well.
Definitely. Paul, thank you very much. Make sure you send your text 81333 on text, 08000 321 on WhatsApp. Start no messages of Essex. Tom Larson Wright waiting to hear from you. But so far on what's been a bright spring afternoon, the evening is looking good for Southend United as the sun is going down, the atmosphere rising and the form getting even better for Southend. Half time at Roots Hall, Southend United 1, Oldham Athletic 0.
BBC Essex.
You know, I do not know how we fit everything into Saturday breakfast. I mean, there's Bangers and Mash, the part of the show where you decide the song we play. There's Join Our Club, where I discover the more unusual sports in our area. I hear the soundtrack to someone's important life moments in The Music Sounds Better With You. Oh, and don't forget the beautiful game where I pit 4 football fans against each other in the hopes of getting their club to the top of our table. It is such a busy one. So join me, Heidi Secker, for a jam-packed show every Saturday morning from 6 on BBC Essex and on BBC Sounds.
BBC Essex Sport.
Tom Larson Wright with you on BBC Essex Sports. So at the break, Southend United 1-0 up at home to Oldham Athletic. That goal from Keenan Apaya Forson on around about 11 minutes. A header at the back post after Leon Perillon managed to hit the post, or his shot was saved, I believe. So Keenan Apaya Forson reacting quickest to head home from just a few yards out, and that is the difference at the break. As it stands, Southend, with all of the other teams playing earlier on today, would now be 8th in the National League table, just 1 point off the playoffs, with Gateshead in 7th as it stands at the break. So Blues fans, let us know what you make of that first half. If you're listening in to us, you can text us on 81333 or on the WhatsApps. We are 08000 321 333 and start your texts and your WhatsApps with the word Essex on X, formerly Twitter. It's at BBC Essex Sports. Find us there and drop us a mention. A couple of you have been doing that already during the first half, and just as we approached the last few minutes of that. Simon in Bicester has been in touch. He says, I lost my mum last July and she was a staunch shrimper. Listening to my first Southend game for her ahead of my first Mother's Day without her. We're sending all our thoughts to you, Simon. And yeah, hopefully the Blues can get a win for you and your mum this afternoon. Thank you, Nemo, for getting in touch with us as well on the text. He says, we deserve to be 1-0 up, but Macaulay Bonne is just not at the level. The amount of chances that he has, it's criminal. He doesn't score. Yeah, there was a few moments Warren describing for us that Macaulay Bonne, again, getting into good areas, but not managing to make the most of it. But nevertheless, the Blues in front, do they need to be more clinical if they are to creep into those playoff places and actually challenge the teams around them, the likes of Oldham? Well, at the moment it's enough, but will it prove enough after another 45 minutes? We'll have to wait and see. The other sports ongoing this late afternoon: the FA Cup, it's still Brighton 0, Nottingham Forest 0. They're into the second half of that FA Cup quarter-final. Earlier on today, it finished Fulham 0, Crystal Palace 3. So Crystal Palace are the first team through to the semi-finals, and they've put their spots at Wembley in the semi-finals of the FA Cup. Then in the Women's Six Nations, earlier it finished France 38, Scotland 15, and they're into the final knockings of the second half between Wales and England. It's Wales 12, England 48, with about 5 minutes left to go on that one. Well, earlier on, our 3 o'clock kickoff, we brought you Braintree Town away at Woking in the National League, with the Iron looking to move further away from the National League relegation zone. I feel like we've been saying that all season. Unfortunately, they didn't manage to do that, so they fell to a 2-1 defeat against Woking. A penalty and then a free kick turned home was the difference, and they got 1 goal back through Aidan Francis-Clark, but it wasn't enough despite a succession of corners and putting some real pressure on the home team Woking's goal, but it wasn't enough to get back into the match. So the Iron move a little bit closer to that relegation zone once again. And after the game, we heard from the manager Steve Pitt. He's been speaking to Peter Morris.
Great results, of course, against Gateshead and York City, but again, it's the teams below you in the table that seem to be able to do the damage.
Yeah, that's exactly what I've just said to the players in there. It's taken us 65 minutes to look anything that resembles my team in any way, shape or form, and that's really disappointing. And it's, if it's a criticism that I've got of my players, and they've achieved wonderful things already for me in 23 games, it's that our Achilles heel seems to be teams in and around us, and I can't really put my finger on it because we prepare properly. We've had a really good week on the training ground, worked really, really hard, and we came here knowing exactly what to expect. Okay, they made a couple of tweaks and paid us the compliment of matching us up, but nevertheless took us 65 minutes to actually to get into any rhythm, and that's cost us the game.
Credit to Harry Beautyman. The cross for the second goal, but also the quickly taken free kick for the first goal. Both occasions, though, the defence were caught. That's not like the normal defence.
No, from a defensive point of view, credit to Harry Beautyman. He's a good player, and he's still perfectly capable of doing a very good job at the level, and credit to him for his influence in and involvement in both goals. But from our point of view, I have to say defensively they're bad goals. Both of them really, really bad goals, and really, really disappointed in the manner of them, and very unlike us, to be honest with you. But as I say, it took us 65 minutes to get going, and then there was only one team in it from there on in, as you well know.
The penalty incident, felt rather sorry for the keeper. He had to come out and do something.
Yeah, I don't blame Lennon. Lennon has done nothing wrong whatsoever today. He's obviously been drafted in from Charlton because Henry Gray is under the concussion protocol, but yeah, Lennon's done nothing wrong today. I thought he did it actually very, very well, to be fair, in open play. He's been woefully exposed for the penalty and the direct free kick, so Lennon emerges with a lot of credit, but yeah, we defended both situations really poorly. It was a
bitty first half. No James Vennings, of course. Louis Annesley moved up into the middle of the field. Great for him, playing for Gibraltar, of course, in the week. Got the feeling you bought on Alan Judge to try and actually get someone to put their foot in the ball there. Yeah, I did. I decided the latter part of the first half that we needed to change something. We needed an injection of something. Marley wasn't quite at it today, which is, that performance didn't reflect Marley in the first 45 minutes. In fact, that's way below par for the Marley that we know and has done so well for us in the last half a dozen games. And yeah, we just felt that we needed to exercise a little bit of control on the ball with somebody like Judgy, and I thought he did ever so well second half, to be fair to him. Final few minutes, loads of corners, and then Jamal Fifield in the press box with us, quite frustrated at their player going down, drop ball going to them when Braintree were on possession, edge of the 6-yard box. Did you have any problem with that? Yeah, my biggest problem was there was a blatant handball. We saw it. The fourth official saw it but chose not to involve the referee, and as I said to the referee at the end of the game, he's 5 yards away from it, and it was blatant. If your arm's in an unnatural position and it strikes your arm in open play, that's a penalty. So that was my biggest disappointment. I mean, obviously there was only one team in it,
in the last 35 minutes. As you know, it was all one-way traffic. But yeah, I mean, whether we were good or not for 95, 96, 97 minutes is irrelevant. You expect decisions like that to go for you, and you expect decisions like that to be given because it was so blatant.
Games still come thick and fast, but that's the last of the 8 games in March. Overall, does it feel like it's actually been, on balance, a successful March?
It's been a great March, isn't it? Let's be honest about it, but it's not finished on the note that I would have liked and I would have expected. And yeah, I've just said to the players in there, it's become a little bit of an Achilles heel for us in terms of Wealdstone, Boston and Woking, and we've got to address that because I believe we can compete with anybody in the division, but you've got to deal with what's in front of you, and we knew what to expect today, and unfortunately for 65 minutes we fell short, and that's cost us the game.
That's the Braintree Town manager Steve Pitt speaking to Peter Morris after Woking 2, Braintree Town 1. As I said earlier, that does leave Braintree 17th in the division still, but Woking keep a little bit closer to Braintree after that win. So it's Braintree Town 17th on 48 points, 3 teams between themselves and the relegation zone, and 6 points between themselves and Wealdstone in that top relegation position, 21st. After Boston, who obviously beat Blues last time out, won again today to climb out of the National League relegation zone. Other key points coming from our Essex sides, key moments from this afternoon's 3 o'clock kickoffs in the National League South. Aveley's relegation from that division was confirmed after a 1-0 defeat at home to Torquay United. Chelmsford City were 0-0 at home to Truro. Billericay Town in the Isthmian Premier, they were 5-1 winners away at Hastings United, but they're still only second because Dartford themselves won 3-0. In fact, all of the top 7 teams winning in the Isthmian Premier this afternoon. And then the Isthmian North, a 6-1 win for Brentwood Town keeps them top of the Isthmian North Division by 3 points ahead of Felixstowe Walton United, who themselves won 8-0 this afternoon. It's coming up to 6:32 here on BBC Essex Sport. We'll return shortly to Roots Hall, where Southend United lead 1-0 at home to Oldham Athletic. Will keep you across these scores from the FA Cup match. Brightling and Hove Albion 0, Forest Green Rovers. I'm stuck in National League land. It's Nottingham Forest 0 away at Brighton Hove Albion in the FA Cup quarter-finals. Of course, Crystal Palace getting themselves through to the semi-finals earlier after a 3-0 win away at Fulham. Just to bring you those scores from the rest of the non-league scene in Essex, because I got through most of them, but not the Thurlow Nuns divisions just after the Braintree match. It was Holland FC 1, FC Parsons Droves 1, Wittersley Athletic 1, Harwich Parkston 0, and Wivenhoe Town 0, FC Peterborough 7 in the Thurlow Nun First Division North. In the Thurlow Nun South, Basildon Town 1, St Margaret's-Bury 1, Burnham 0, Harlow Town 3, Coggeshall 0, Hutton 0, FC Barrowsey 4, Southend Manor 2, and Rayleigh Town 5, May and Baker 2. So it's just gone 33 minutes past 6 here on BBC Essex Sport.
BBC Essex Sport.
We'll return in just a moment then to action in the National League between Southend United and Oldham Athletic, because at the break they are 1-0 up thanks to a goal from Keenan Appiah-Forson. It's live on BBC Essex, all frequencies. That's 103.5 FM, 95.3 FM, DAB, the BBC Sport website and app, as well as Freeview TV channel 716. It's time to rejoin your commentary team then of Warren Mugwerton and Paul Clark.
Call 0800 111 40 41. Text 81333 and start your message with the word Essex. BBC Essex Sport.
Yes, welcome back to Roots Hall. About 2 minutes into this second half. Nothing to report though. Still Southend United 1, Oldham 0, thanks to Keenan Appiah-Forson's goal after 11 minutes in that first half. So Oldham Athletic playing from left to right, Southend from right to left. Southend in their dark blue kit, dark blue shirt with the gold strip, dark blue shorts and white socks. Oldham in their white shirts with the blue and orange sash, white shorts and blue and orange socks. No changes for Southend at half time, so they still have Hayes in goal, a back four, Gus Scott Morris on the right, Captain Taylor in the middle with Goodliff and Gubbins on the left. Morton sits in front of them, Appiah, Forson and Hussein in the middle, and Bon, Hopper and Parallon in an attacking trio. Free kick for Southend just inside the Oldham half. Oldham have made a change at half time. They've brought in Jesurum Uchegbulam in place of Dan Gardner, so that'll be a formation change which Paul Clark will talk you through once I've introduced him. Donaghy's in goal, back three of Hobson, Raglan and Leake. Caprice is the right flying wing back, Kitchens on the left with Conlon and Rossiter. As I say, Uchegbulam comes in, Harrott and Fondop come in. Parallon whips it across and it takes a bounce off the body of Raglan, bounces up into the air to fall kindly for Donaghy. And Paul Clark, as I say, Uchegbulam coming in. It's a sense that Oldham, really, they've been forced into these two changes. The one at half before that, after 26 minutes, with James Norwood forced off with a hamstring injury to bring in Fondop, the top scorer of 18 goals. And now Uchegbulam's come on, he's on this right side, and it offers a different perspective to this Oldham team.
Yeah, he's got to play pretty much as an out-and-out winger and give him a bit more width on this side. But as Parallon picks it up again and goes past people and then goes looking for the second ball.
He wants to accelerate forward. Southend trying to drive down this left wing through Hussein. He's managed to find the Appiah Force, edge of the penalty box. Lovely turn. He's got away in the penalty area. Whips it across. Looks for a header. It's cleared off the line though by Oldham. It was Tom Hopper coming to the near post to try and head it. It just went over him and it was headed away by Raglan. Massive chance for Southend as it's cleared away for a throw into the Blues. That gets a rapturous round of applause from the fans all around us here in a packed out Roots Hall.
How good was Appiah Forson then? Again, lovely.
It was a Zinedine Zidane's turn on the edge of the penalty area.
And did it at pace. He does everything at pace, to be fair. He just picked it up and ran at him, as you say. A little double drag back spin turn. And I think Kevin was a bit upset that he didn't go to ground, because I think he might have won himself a penalty there. But just looking to see if Blues can do something that they haven't managed to do over recent weeks, and that's put two halves together.
And Southend still in possession. Parallon manages to go past Conlon, edge of the penalty area, still in possession, gives it to Hussein. It's just beyond him though, can't get the shot away, has to go out to Bon on the right. Goes back to Scott Morris, gets a cross in, will look for the head of Hopper but will find Conlon. Goes back to Bon at the second ball. Rossiter has to go back to Kitchen of Oldham as they clear it away on what's been a seismic amount of pressure from Southend in these opening 5 minutes of the second half. Still leading by a goal to nil, but really pressing on this Latics defence.
And again, in contrast to the last couple of weeks where they've done well, particularly in the first half, and then second half come out and been flat, they've really come out of the blocks foot sharp this start of this second half.
They're still in possession from their throw-in. Scott Morris trying to turn away from Leake and he's able to nudge it forward to Appiah Forson. First time into Bon. Gives it to Scott Morris, who continues his run. Puts it across the penalty area but won't find its way to Parallon on that left side. Hussein wants to keep it alive but bounces into the path of Oldham's Raglan. He's forced to just clear it away. We'll find Fondop, who gets the control but can't get away from Taylor. Well, somehow does manage to get the ball down that left wing, only into the path of Morton of Southend. He'll nudge it into Appiah Forson, who seems to be everywhere in his opening stages. Morton gives it away to Fondop. Harrott is in front of him, but the touch is very heavy.
Just knock it.
And Gubbins is able to get it away. So it's a throw in for Oldham. And Mayer was really frustrated at that one. Well, punched in the air in frustration as Morton gave that ball away.
Yeah, good job. Harrott didn't have a better touch there. It was a good ball through to him. Good touch out his feet towards goal, and he could have been through. So they've looked hopeless, Oldham, but they're still a threat.
Uchegbulam tries to pressure Gubbins. He's able to get to the second ball and does nudge away from Gubbins on this right side. Still keeps moving as a cross is whipped in. The sliding tackle made by Morton is able to nudge it over him. As Rossiter keeps it alive, control from Uchegbulam, tries to cross it, comes off Gubbins and it will trickle out for a throw-in, which will be taken by Caprice in front of those Oldham fans who are now up on their feet and they're chanting and clapping.
Well, Uchegbulam had Gubbins on toast twice there, absolutely skinned him.
He's certainly a dangerous man to bring on. So they cross it in from that right side. It is cleared away by Southend as far as Raglan of Oldham. He wants to whip into that left side of the field as Taylor sends it back. Hopper wants to get in ahead of Hobson. Thought there was an opportunity, but the former Southend man able to turn away. Wants to give it to Fondop. Takes it under control, edge of the penalty area, but the offside flag is up from Paul Lister-Flynn on the near side, and it will be a free kick for Southend on the edge of their own penalty area. First offside of the game for the visitors. That coming after 52 minutes. Still 1-0 to Southend.
He definitely gives them a threat down this right hand side with Chegbolam, didn't he? He picked it up a couple of times there and just run at Joe Gubbins and left him for dead. Thankfully, behind him, Goodliffe got himself into good positions a couple of times just to kill off that cross at the near post.
Gubbins on the end of Oldham's attempt to get on the attack from Hayes. Whole kick. So Chegbolam keeping the Latics in possession, and now Caprice has some space down this right wing. Advancing on Gubbins, Chegbolam is ahead of him into the penalty area now. Tries to cut the ball back but comes off Morton, and Hussein able to get to the ball but nudges it too far, so it's a throw in for the Latics on their right wing.
Bit lucky there, James Morton didn't go with the runner in the first place and went to ground really early. And Chegbolam then really should have just checked back on it, but he tried to put the cross in. James Morton blocked it.
Rossiter tries to cross from right to left. Kitchen will get onto the header, can't quite get Fondop onto it though, as Harry Taylor's able to clear away. Scott Morris can't quite reach the second ball, but does get support from Bon, and he's had a bit hacked out of him as the tackle came in from Leek to try and push it out. Although no foul conceded, it's just a throw in instead.
Yeah, huge challenge from Harry Taylor there. Ball to the far post, Hitchin heading it back across goal, and just waiting for a white shirt to come in and head it in. Harry Taylor did remarkably well to get across there and defend that ball that had gone over his head initially.
But there was a foul conceded there that they had gone through the back of Scott Morris as the ball went out on Southend's right wing. So a free kick for the Blues. 10 minutes into the second half.
Certainly the most threatening Oldham have looked for the entire game.
This finds Hopper of Southend, but he can't bring another player into possession for the Blues. As Harrott tries to get Chegbolam moving. He's got the acceleration on Joe Gubbins into that right corner. Can't get advanced though, but Caprice is there to pick up the pieces. Parallon in front of him, and just towards the byline, can't get the cross away as it comes off Parallon's boot. So a corner kick for Oldham on that right side.
He's causing all sorts of problems, the winger, hasn't he, since he's come on. I mean, he was second favourite to get to that ball, but won the foot race fairly comfortably.
Yeah, Jazuramu Chegbolam, and he's learnt his footballing trade at AC Milan.
Who are they?
Yeah, small team I think out in Europe. Cross aimed for the far post as Hopper is able to clear it away, and Parallon onto the second ball. Appiah Forson wants to get there, and there's a mistake from Caprice, and Appiah Forson is able to accelerate away. Three Oldham defenders trying to close him down. Scott Morris calling for it on that right side, just goes behind him. But Scott Morris still on the ball for Southend. Brings in Hussein. Southend still keeping up this counter. This is Bon into Appiah Forson. Back to Hussein. Out of his feet into Scott Morris. First time cross, aimed for the near post, falls to Hussein, off his shin, and to the top of the Frank Walton stand and out for a goal kick. Appiah Forson right at the heart of that one, able to get onto the loose ball, but in front of Scott Morris it would have been a major opportunity. Still tries to create something out of it, but Hussein putting it well over the crossbar instead. Still 1-0.
And just for those that criticise Kevin Mayer, he was absolutely livid with Noor Hussein for not getting the shot away from 20 yards there and taking the extra pass. Find out on the breakaway, it's Appiah Forson and I think it was Caprice, both go for it. They both bottled it, both turned their heads away, and Appiah Forson turned around, looked around, suddenly the ball was in front of him.
Parallon trying to chase a loose ball, but Hodgson gets there for Oldham instead, and he'll get it back from Donaghy. Not sure he was expecting it, as Hopper wants to chase it down, but the Oldham defender launches it towards Fondop. Instead, Goodliffe able to clear away twice for Southend. Appiah Forson can only find Conlon, the captain of the Latics. Leek gets the turn on Scott Morris and has brought Kitchen in. This is dangerous for Oldham, coming into the penalty area on this left side. Kitchen puts it on his inside. There's a bit of a cross-come shot, but Gubbins able to clear it away. And it comes back to Leek. Oldham still in possession inside Southend's half.
Poor from Gus Scott Morris there. He's gone towards the ball. They've got overlap runner. He's got to detach from the ball there and take the runner.
With Chegbolam going up against Hopper. has a bit more of a battle this time in contrast to his battles with Gubbins since he's come on. Caprice, his cross, he has a bit of snow on it as it was very high as it bounces over the byline and gets picked up by that melee of bodies in the north stand of Southend fans.
Nicky Miller saying, just whip it in with her. I was saying, look, what can I do? Look, what can I do? I'm in to do it.
Mickey Mallow, extraordinary career really as a manager. 6 promotions to his name. Over nearly 800 games as a manager. Time at places like Tranmere, Shrewsbury, Fleetwood. And finds his team well within the playoff battle really, sitting in 4th in the table. Southend right now, if they stays like this, they'll be 1 point off the playoffs, 1 point off Gateshead, who have dropped down to 7th, as Rochdale still have 2 games in hand.
Remind me where we go last game?
We go to Gateshead. Looking forward to that trip, myself and Glenn Pennyfather. It's almost written, isn't it? Long throw in from Southend from the right, and able to find Hopper. A few remonstrations from fans as they think he was pulled down, but no appeals really from players, so we'll just go full circle. It'll be another throw in for Southend.
Just keeping an eye on Joe Gubbins. He's just doing a couple of stretches, whether he's just been twisted blood trying to chase after the Chegberlin.
Well, the benefit for Southend, they do have Nathan Ralph on the bench. Scott Morris with this long throw in from the right side. Looks for Bond's head. It just comes off a Oldham defender inside the penalty area before it's cleared away towards the centre circle.
Right.
Only as far as Goodley. Now to Gubbins, who gets the pass into Mawson. First time to Parallon, and now Hussein. And Gubbins is able to continue his run down that left wing. But the first touch spins away, and it had gone out for a throw in as Gubbins had stepped backwards outside of the field of play. So it does give the throw in to Oldham. As I say, Nathan Ralph, the captain who plays left back, is on the bench for Southend. He had a bit of a back strain, which is why he hasn't played the last couple of games, and he was on the bench for Boston just to make the numbers up really, but it is an option that they can look to as Oldham themselves striding down that left wing. Kitching getting a turn 360, has Leak on his outside. He lines up a cross and towards the edge of the 6-yard box, but Goodliff able to clear it away. Harrott nowhere near it. Second ball though comes back in. Goodliff into Mawson, and Appiah Forson with room to turn and launch it downfield for Bond to chase. Wants to get there ahead of Raglan. There's a bit of a tussle, but he does get the ball back to the Oldham goalkeeper Donaghy, who sends it back downfield. Coming up to the hour mark, got Goodliff, puts it onto the feet of Uchegbalam of Oldham, who gets it out and sifts it right. Big cross whipped in, header from Fondup, and it did come off of Goodliff as it's made its way.
It was a hand
they say handball. Plenty of hands on heads from the Oldham players. The referee Kirsty Dow is sending them away. They think there was a handball. The cross was whipped in from the right side by Caprice onto the head of Fondup as he aimed for the bottom right corner. Goodliff has got his body in the way as it goes out for a corner kick. Oldham players still appealing, and it should be a penalty. What do you think, Paul?
Listen, apart from a bloody great post being in the way, just the way they're complaining and the number of them that are claiming about it, I think they might have a genuine claim that his arm went up there.
So this is the second corner kick of this second half and of the game for Oldham. And now the referee having a word with a couple of the players who are crammed together inside the 6-yard box. Conlon to put this corner kick in. Aims for the far post. As a climb, it comes off the crossbar and it's cleared off the line.
It's given. Referee linesman's give it. Or he's given something.
Given
offside,
something.
I think.
Well, a bit of in the meantime, the corner was aimed towards the middle of the 6-yard box. It came off the crossbar, was then headed back towards the goal, but it was cleared off the line by Gus Scott Morris. Yellow card has been given to Fondup, I'm guessing for dissent, and in the meantime, an offside has been given, so a free kick for Southend. They survived that scare, still 1-0. But Oldham, they've changed something in this second half, Paul Clark.
Well, the biggest change, as we say, the winger coming on has caused problems down this right-hand side, and because they've got possession out there, they've then started delivering a couple of decent balls into the box. Caprice, the one before, Nicky Mellon had a moan at him because he didn't put the cross in. Sorry, Nicky Mellon didn't moan because he didn't put the cross in with enough pace, and he said to him, whip it in next time, which is exactly what he did on that one. They're adamant that they should have had the penalty, and then they don't feel they've got the break on the ball bouncing around the box.
Yeah, I didn't know there were muted celebrations. Not very many from the Oldham fans. The people who celebrated most, I think, were the technical area in front of us for Oldham, really. I mean, not even the players who celebrated that much. But yeah, an excellent goal line clearance from Gus Scott-Morris as well, who launches it forward now for Southend, asking Hopper to chase as it bounces, but it will fall straight to Donaghy, the goalkeeper. Has been 1.5 years since any side in this fixture won a game in this Oldham v Southend clash. Of course, Southend with that one back in August. It was 2023, that 4-0 win. Oldham last beat Southend in the April of that year, a 2-0 victory at Boundary Park. They're on possession, but give it straight to Morton, who sets Appiah Forson on the ball. He wants to go past Kitching, but might well have pushed it out. There's a throw-in for Oldham.
Don't know why he's trying to run that out of play there.
Yeah, going to cross in, but way too much on that one from Leake, who's not had the best of games from that left wing. He's had a few battles in defence and hasn't had as much quality going forwards as well.
Substitution for Blues by the looks of it, is it?
This is Cav Miley, who's going to make his way up onto the pitch.
And Nathan Ralph.
So I expect, as you were saying, Gubbins, he had been looking a little tight, so I expect that'll be a like-for-like change. But who will Miley come on for?
James Morton, I would imagine.
James Morton.
Whether it is Gubbins that's coming off, I don't know, but he's been given a rough time on this what's Oldham's right-hand side. So I wouldn't be surprised if it is.
Yeah, Joe Gubbins comes off for that second substitution, with Nathan Ralph coming back in.
And that's just a natural, experienced left back coming in there to try to negate what has been Oldham's threat since half time.
And Joe Gubbins gets fans on their feet, giving him an applause. But having to work his way back into the team.
He looks knackered as well, by the way, doesn't he?
Yeah.
Never mind anything else, he looks absolutely spent.
Well, it's his first time with 3 consecutive starts for the Blues since September. He has had injuries that he's had to deal with. I remember that October time when I first arrived, he had to go off injured in that Tamworth game.
It won't have helped him keep running back towards his own goal, chasing the winger either.
So Southend getting his restarted. Still 1-0 to the Blues against Oldham at Roots Hall. Just had the attendance figure come in for this one. We're expecting one of the biggest crowds that we've seen this season. 8,395 with 255 from Oldham. Not quite the biggest crowd of the season. That's 8,875 for that FA Cup clash against Charlton. So throw in for Southend. We've got Scott-Morris to launch this one and goes short to Parallon. Gives it back. Cross whipped in. It's just beyond Goodliff, who'd come up for that throw in. It's whipped all the way across. There'll be a throw in for Oldham on their right wing.
Yeah, good defending from Sean Hobson there though, because he got his arm into the back of Ben Goodliff and just walked him underneath it, so didn't allow him to come and attack it round the back post.
So again, Oldham giving away possession. Bonn lofting it in for Hopper on the edge of the penalty area, but Hobson gets there ahead of him, and Donaghy is able to pick it up for the visitors. Less than 25 minutes of normal time left. With Southend leading by a goal to 0. Again, Oldham can't keep hold of it as Taylor wins it back, just nudges it over Conlon into Hopper, who brings in Hussein. Miley on the halfway line. Comes back to Ralph. First touches for him since coming off the bench. Gives it to Parallon. Aims towards the centre circle and does manage to find Hopper, but that's intercepted by Conlon as his touch was heavy. Fondop giving it to Rossiter and Caprice. He's gone down with he's a little bit of a strain. He's held his left foot and he's stretching that left leg. He looks a bit uncomfortable. We were speaking to the guys next to us actually. One of the big things for Oldham has been injuries this season, Paul Clark, and something that Southend know all about.
Sorry, I've just got Rossiter. he's had one of those nights where nothing will go right for him.
Yeah.
Every time he plays a pass, just see him shaking his head. Can't understand what's going wrong for him.
Yeah, Jordan Rossiter joined on loan from Shrewsbury in January. And he played straight at Liverpool. He made 5 appearances for Liverpool back in the 2015-2016 season as well. Meanwhile, Southend winning a free kick just inside their own half. Ralph pushing it down the wing and giving it to Parallon, who was able to get inside Caprice but couldn't get away from the right wing back. He was able to launch it towards Fondop, gets a head onto it into Harrop. But Taylor is harrying this forward. They can't get it back. Appiah Forson trying to bring Bonn into the game, but the pass is heavy. It goes all the way back to Donaghy, and his kick goes into that west stand, picked up by all of those fans. So it'll be another throw-in for Southend. Again, wasteful play from Oldham, but just it straight into Southend as the fans start chanting, "Come on, Southend!" and some flags start getting waved in that north stand. As there's a light red hue across the sky as the sun continues to get low with clouds sitting heavier. Ralph asking Hopper to chase this ball as it goes to the edge of the penalty area. Distribution from Donaghy not great, and back to Southend through Parallon. Is it to Miley? Southend trying to drive down this left wing. Hussein checking back to Miley. Quick change of direction. Ralph advancing down the left into Appiah Forson, who finds space. Hussein first time to Parallon. Is it back to Ralph, who sets up Appiah Forson to cut inside. Hussein would think about the cross. Only 2 Southend players in the penalty area for them. They're just trying to work away through this Oldham side. Ralph wants it threaded through to him, but Appiah Forson is able to get it through. Couldn't quite get it to Ralph as Rossiter makes himself an influence. Ball bounced awkwardly on the edge of the 6-yard box for Oldham, but it is eventually gathered by Donaghy. That was patient stuff, Paul Clark, from Southend. Or a bit of an off-the-ball moment with Hobson and Hopper falling in a bit of a bundle.
Yeah, Hopper's going to get booked here.
Right call?
Yeah, listen, they're coming out together, and just a little bit of handbags pushing and shoving, and Hopper was just stronger and threw him to the ground. And yeah, probably the right call, because Oldham were in possession, so he's broken that up. Whether the referee will have Sean Hobson as well. No, she's just had a word with him.
Seems to be holding his shoulder, Hobson.
We've got to make it look like it hurt.
The dark arts on show. Yeah, Hobson, as we say, spent 3 years at Southend before joining Oldham. The 2021 Southend Player of the Year. Bonn heading the ball out of play to give Oldham a throw-in inside Southend's half. As Kitchen tries to get the ball back from those Southend fans in the west stand. And they're taking a little while to get there, as you'd expect. Just over 20 minutes of normal time left at Roots Hall here on BBC Essex Sport, with Southend leading Oldham by 1-0. Kitchen to line up this throw into Conlon. Has to go back to Raglan. It's played across the defence. Hobson. Oldham have plenty of players forwards, but deciding they rather play it laterally and across their back line, just trying to see if they can find the right moment to push it forward. Maybe this will be it for them. As Connor looks for Fondop, who wins the header, but can only find Ralph as his clearance goes deflected away. Chegbalam is there first to it. It's crossed the penalty area from the right side, but cleared away by Parallon. Caprice will get there for Oldham. Hobson wants to launch it forward, but Hopper getting a touch onto it, so a throw-in for Oldham, and well sustained. Good sustained possession from Oldham, but Southend keeping the pressure at bay.
Yeah, they knocked it about at the back and the square a couple of times and in the midfield, and then get it back just until someone could get an angle to be able to smash it up to Fondop, and then from there on just looking for flick-ons and second balls to be able to get it out wide. So good work from Tom Hopper again. He gets through some graft on the defensive side of the thing, closing people down. It's not looked particularly effective going forward, but it's invaluable, the defensive work he's doing high up the pitch, working hard to keep the Oldham players honest.
Parallon made an interception on Oldham as they played across their back line. Hopper feeding Appiah Forson, left side of the penalty area. Checks inside, wants to get a cross into Barn, but it's over his head and it will go out for a goal kick. Big opportunity there for them as they won possession inside Oldham's final third, but couldn't make it count on that occasion.
Yeah, I think you're being kind of them to say one possession. It was gifted to them. That's one of the reasons Mickey Mellon doesn't like them playing out the back, because they ain't very good at it. They're liable to give it away, so that's why he says to the centre halves, look, get it out your feet, hit the channels, and we'll go and play in their half, because then if we give it away, they've gone a long way to go till they get to our goal.
And all the coaches in the technical area in front of us for the away side, they're looking really frustrated. Oldham nudging it forward, looking for a Chegbalam to chase, but Nathan Ralph getting the better of him this time. Looks like a more even contest, that one. No, Chegbalam had got the better of Gubbins before he came off. It's a different contest for him now with Nathan Ralph coming back in.
Yeah, he's still got the pace on him, but Nathan Ralph a bit cuter, got his body between man and ball, so made the winger go the long way round.
Throw in from the right side, finds the body of Fondop, but taken off his boot by Miley. He's able to clear it away, and it's an Oldham throw in.
Miley gets dumped onto the track for his efforts.
Yeah, it's a bit steep over that byline on in front of the north stand to fall down. So Leak with a throw in for Oldham from this right wing, about 10 metres away from the byline. Substitutions will be coming again shortly. The long throw headed away by Nathan Ralph. Appiah Forson has the edge on Caprice, who put his boots up to try and get the ball, but Appiah Forson was able to get his body there first. Nothing given for it, just a throw in. And again, Caprice is stretching here. I wonder if he'll be coming off shortly.
They're claiming that it's high foot because he nearly kicked Appiah Forson in the face, but to be honest, it hasn't got to be that high, has it?
So first substitution is Rossiter, making way for the number 28, Vimal Yoganathan. This coming after 74 minutes. That's the first substitution at that time. And the other substitution will see the captain, Tom Conlon, come off for Corey Evans. So two, I would suspect, like for like changes with these two midfielders coming into the fray. Corey Evans, so quite successful family history in football. His brother is Johnny Evans of Manchester United fame, 3 Premier League titles with the Red Devils. Corey himself coming through the Manchester United academy.
I mean, to be fair, that's their entire midfield changed, and there's not one of them would look back on tonight and think they've done any good at all. No. They've all been disappointing for Oldham in there tonight.
So all changed then for Oldham as they're in possession, looking to get Uchegbalam moving as Nathan Ralph wins that header, but Corey Evans straight onto the ball, managing to get past Evans, putting the ball into the middle of the penalty area. It's cleared away, but Uchegbalam flicks it back into Evans, puts it again across. Yoganathan shooting from outside the penalty area, but comes off the body of Goodliff and cleared away by Parallon. Bon is chasing this one down as it comes back to Hagland, who has to go all the way back to Donaghy. But that's a quick insight into the dangers that the substitutes can bring. Taylor leaves the ball for Hayes to collect it. A long ball from the goalkeeper with Harrott chasing it, but really he's been like the same end of it's like the ball is the same end of a magnet to him, constantly repelling away from the ball. I think he's barely had a touch in the game, and it's gobbled up by Nick Hayes.
He did well there, Harry Taylor again. He made sure he got himself between the man and the ball, and just invited Nick Hayes to come out and pick it up, or dive on it rather.
So 2 substitutions to come for Southend. We'll see Jack Bridge and Ollie Coker come on as the Blues have possession through Hayes, who launches it towards Bon, gets the header onto it, wants Hopper to chase. Raglan's giving it away to Parallon, who's in the right place. Back flick into Hopper, into the penalty area, but the touch is heavy and Hobson able to clear it away, but only to Miley, who with an exchange from Appiah Forson keeps the Blues in possession. Back to Parallon on this right wing. Yoganathan tries to put him off. Appiah Forson flicks it onto Bond, but he's in an offside position according to the assistant Harley McKittrick, so we'll restart, but there'll be time for the substitutions. First substitution
coming on.
Yeah, it's Keenan Appiah Forson, the scorer of the goal, the man coming off. An impressive display from him, really. Had that he's more often than not been in the right place at the right time.
Yeah, my only query would be why.
Why he's coming off?
Yeah, you know, it's unless he's feeling something, he's getting leggy, or Kevin's just seen that he's starting to run out of gas. Certainly didn't look like it to me. Certainly big shoes for Coker to fill when he comes on, because he's done a great job. And similarly, Parallon. It's been a huge threat. Again, Jack Bridge now got to come on and take up the mantle, picking up off where Parallon left off. So I think both of them have been terrific tonight.
Certainly have, and they get there. They'll watch the last 14 minutes of normal time in this game unfold. Jack Bridge, the substitute for Leon Parallon, a new dad. Referee blows for a handball on Mike Fondop as the ball came off his arm as he took it under control in the middle of Southend's half. And he's appealing for some reason. He pointed at his arm and said,
pointed just above his elbow on his bicep and said, "Hit me there." Yeah, that's handball, mate. That will be why.
That will be why. It's a funny one, that one, isn't it? Where the line is for handball. I enjoyed that period of football when defenders would basically play as if they didn't have any arms and they'd have them behind their back all the time.
Pathetic, wasn't it?
Paul Clark saying it as it is. Long kick from Hayes, aimed for Bonn in the penalty area, but it's given away as Caprice tries to get Oldham moving but can only find Miley again. Goodliff turns back to Hayes and they'll happily let Oldham do the running. Hayes, one step forward looking for Bonn. Gets a header onto it, but thought Bridgewood continued his run. Hobson picking it up for Oldham. Back to Donaghy. He aims for Harrott. Lets the ball bounce. Scott Morris heads it all the way back to Hayes because he knew that there was a run coming in from Leek. And Hayes wants to draw Leek into the corner of the penalty area before he gets down on the ball, much to the frustration of the Oldham fans behind him in that north stand. I know that's what the game is now, boys, just eating away the seconds. Let's have a listen to this as well. Wonderful stuff at Roots.
Talking about bringing an 8-second rule with the goalkeepers.
Oh yes,
15 seconds. Nick Hayes had that then.
That's what you were counting. Hussein's gone down in a heap after a challenge from Leek inside the centre circle.
They can't even enforce a 6-second rule.
Do you think it's got legs?
No.
I think it's one of those things that was in the law. It was in the law book, but wasn't really enforced. That's what they're just going to try enforcing it further.
Enforce it.
Yeah.
Ain't hard, is it? It's in the rules. Start counting the minute keeper picks it up, and if it goes over 6 seconds, blow up for it. Soon stop it.
Well, we'll see how it works next season. Of course, it'll be at the FIFA Club World Cup over the summer. And we'll endure that when it comes in the new season.
Endure or enjoy?
Endure.
Endure.
I will very much emphasise that. Cav Miley putting it out to the right wing where Bacauley Bonways manages to chest it to Scott Morris. He'll whip across in. Ralph gets a head onto it to keep it alive. Back to Coker on the edge of the penalty area on the left side. Goes back to Miley. Southend stretching the pitch as much as they can to keep the ball alive. Scott Morris in plenty of space, keeping Oldham away from the ball, keeping them chasing, using up energy. They all the way back to Hayes. Fires it forward looking for Bridge, but gets the head of Caprice of Oldham, but his header can only find Bonn, and now Hobson's a bit exposed and his clearance is out. It comes off the back of Darren Curry, the assistant head coach, as it went to the technical area of Southend. So a throw in for the Blues. They're just managing the game at the moment from Southend, just tiring Oldham out, making sure they don't get time on the ball.
Yeah, well, that's what we call it when we've got it. When the opposition are doing it, we call it time wasting.
Hayes was trying to draw it. No goals at the City Ground in the second FA Cup quarter, at the Amex Stadium I should say, between Brighton and Nottingham Forest in the FA Cup. That's in the 0-0 at full time, so that's going into extra time. Nottingham Forest certainly have had to work their way in this FA Cup. Remember they went to penalties, I think at Doncaster Road, I think it was Exeter City, I think it was, back in the third round. Foul given away by Southend inside Oldham's half as they take it quickly through Evans, who spreads it to the left where Kitching has to drift in field. Again going back to Hobson. He wants to get Uchegbalam running, but Ralph is in between him and the ball, and that gives the space for Hayes to get on the ball. Again, Paul, it's surprising to me to see Oldham doing this. They'd rather play it backwards and laterally rather than trying to play it forwards, and it just plays into Southend's hands.
Yeah, but sometimes you have to give Southend credit because they work closing down. They close down at such an angle that they cut off the ball going forward. Sometimes you can't stop the pass going to the man. You can't mark the man. But
Miley's taken the ball off Yoganathan as Bridge kept it alive. He's tackled by Caprice, wins a foul for the Blues, and that's a yellow card for Oldham's Jake Caprice, and a free kick in a dangerous area for the Blues.
So you cut off the passing channel. So if they can't go through that channel to hit the man that they want, then they have to go square to try to open up another channel.
Mayer just sharing some tactical words with Ben Goodliff.
Right, Malau.
It's pretty simple from the free kick, isn't it? Just put it on his head. And he takes a quick energy drink before getting back involved. And Goodliff straight up. Miley looks for instruction as well, but Coker stands over this one on the left side, 5 metres away from the wing, at 20 metres away from the byline. And he's for the far post. Keeper decides to leave it because there was too much on it, and it bounces over the byline and out for a goal kick.
Yeah, it's a waste. I mean, it's not a bad area, but just leave it there. Defenders shouldn't be able just to pin forwards and let the ball go out harmlessly. It's got to go into a dangerous area where someone has to do something.
Superb atmosphere at Roots Hall with over 8,000 fans in attendance for this game. And Southend get on the attack again. Macaulay Bond down the right wing, whips into middle, looks for Jack Bridge. He bounces across his body. That will go over the byline for a goal kick. I don't think Bridge got a touch onto that one as he came onto the edge of the 6-yard box. Just a step behind the ball. If he got anything on it, would have been 2-0.
I'm just delighted to see him in there. I mean, there's so many times when they break down that right hand side and Jack Bridge is playing wide left, ball goes into the box and Jack still stood outside the penalty area. Delighted to see him trying to get across that near post and very nearly got on the end of it. So, fair play to him.
Ball falls for Oldham. Chegbalam into Fondop, wants to nudge it out to the left to Leak, but Scott Morris intercepting. He launches the ball towards Hopper. It trickles all the way to Oldham's Raglan. Goes back to Donaghy for the goalkeeper to fire it forward again. Decides to go left to Kitching, who's back in his own half. Oldham wants to try and create again, but again his pass is light. He's asked a lot of work of Yoganathan. Does win the foul off of Bon as his feet were caught, but now he's dragged back Ollie Coker, who is between him and the ball.
They're booking for Coker for stopping the free kick, I would imagine.
Well, a few chants from the fans around us. They want to see a player go off the field, but let's see what the referee does with this one. Kirsty Dow. She gets all the players around. She's brought the young Welshman, 19-year-old Vimal Yoganathan, qualified to play for Wales under-19s. He was on international duty with them.
She's done all right there. Right. She's just decided to give them both a rollicking and send them on their way.
No, I think she had a firm grip on this game, I think, Paul.
Yeah, I mean, to me, she's missed a lot of the niggly sort of stuff, But you could argue, well, at least she's let the game go then. Let it flow a little bit.
Chegbalam tries to bring in Caprice, but Miley is able to get there first. The throw in for Oldham, and Caprice is slow to get up to that one again. I feel like he's battling his way through the second half at the moment.
It's a proper tackle though, wouldn't it?
It was. Both of them. That's the Miley that we've seen. I think as well we talk about Cav Miley as well. It's great to see him back from injury, but the injuries have left him a bit MIA this season. He's been a shadow of what he was last season as well. He was so central to what was so good about Southend.
Yeah, just hasn't been able to get going, has he?
Southend win it back inside their own half as Goodliff launched it forward. Macaulay Bond getting a touch to elude Hagler, but it's too heavy and Donaghy able to clear it away. But Southend winning it back inside Oldham's half through Bridge. Yoganathan putting him under pressure though, forcing Bridge back into his own half. Bridge touch to get away from Chegbalam. Hussein back into Bridge, and a clever header to come off Caprice to win a throw-in a tight area. Less than 5 minutes to go at Roots Hall. Southend 1, Oldham 0. Here on BBC Essex Sport with me, Warren Muggleton, and former Blues player and manager Paul Clark. And the fans have just been chanting and singing their way through this evening throughout. North Stand has been absolutely packed out on that far side to our commentary position. Director's box around us as well. Miley sliding in again, but I've been giving on that one as he got away from Chegbalam. Oldham's still in possession as they go from right to left. Kitchen with space to run into. Coker trying to stop him. but Leake in front, going up against Scott Morris, tries to get around him but won't get round the top scorer for the Blues. It's Hussein. Is it back to Coker, who's asking Bond to chase this one down the right wing, but Raglan gets there first into Donaghy, but that touch is a bit heavy from the goalkeeper, gives him something to think about before he clears it away as Bond was trying to put pressure on. Fondop's gone down as himself and Goodliff climbed to win a header as it came back downfield, and he stayed down on this one. I think it's just a stopping play from the referee.
Yeah, it's just a clash of heads and completely accidental, both of them being honest going for it, and Fondop didn't see him coming from behind, and he got caught. The referee quite right to start when he gets spanked on the head.
So physio going on the pitch. Don't forget, Tom Larson Wright, we're waiting to hear from you. You can send us a text 81333 or a WhatsApp 08000 321 333. Start those messages with the word Essex. Give us a call on 0800 111 40 41. Send us a message on X at BBC Essex Sport or email essex.sport@bbc.co.uk. Substitution to come for Oldham. We'll see Jake Leake come off for Joe Garner, which is left back for a centre forward, so a bit of a case of throwing the kitchen sink at it now for the visitors. It means they'll commit more men forward, and that will be alright for Southend. That's all these substitutions now used for Oldham. Southend still with one that they can use. Still have George Wind and Josh Walker on the bench of outfield players, and Siakala is the standing goalkeeper at the moment following the long-term injury of Colin and Dengendy. Oldham with possession as we approach the final 90 seconds of normal time here at Roots Hall. Southend leading Oldham by a goal to 0. Donaghy launches another kick, finds the head of Kitching, snudged forwards by Harrett, finds its way to Yoganathan, wins it to the right, and Caprice waits. Fondop has wanted to come back on. He had made his way off just to get an assessment on his head, but he's now okay. So he comes back in, wants to get straight involved, but he doesn't get it from Caprice. Yoganathan puts this cross in, or can find a Oldham head, but it's in the air, and the rebound is eventually cleared away by Nathan Ralph. Only as far as Raglan. Evans wanting to find Ichegblan, but only the head of Southend's Goodliff, and Bridge to pick up the pieces. Wants to clear it downfield and as well to keep it in. Bond can't stop Hobson from heading it forwards. It's a bit of sustained pressure now from Oldham as we approach the last minute of normal time. Caprice can't get the cross away. It came off Bridge, but then he took a touch from Caprice before it went over the byline. So a goal kick for Southend, again holding back the pressure from sustained Oldham possession. Yeah, the old double ricochet. It's lovely. You think you're going to win the corner and it comes back and hits you on the brushes against your shoelaces and goes out. Now you've got to run back 50 yards and chance has gone. It's so frustrating. As we approach the past few seconds of normal time, plenty for fans to be excited about. Don't worry, Paul Clark. We can see the fourth official fiddling with the numbers on his board, and it's certainly not 10 minutes of normal time. I think it's 4 minutes added time. I mean that's more of a relief, I think, Paul. I feel like Premier League times we did that. Southend keeping possession from the goal kick. Bridge down this left wing. 2 Oldham players around him, happy to take it into the corner. As it comes off Caprice, it will go out for a corner kick. Yeah, that's terrific. That's managing the game. That is. And it shouldn't go very far from there. Do you think they'll go for it, try and add another goal to the tally, or they... Oh no, none of the defenders have gone forward, so they're very happy to play it short and taking as much time as they want. Into Bond, who decides to juggle with it in the corner as Yoganathan kicks it out, so it'll be a throw-in for the Blues. Getting closer to keeping up their unbeaten run at home. They're looking for 7 league home games unbeaten. Remember years ago, a situation like this, Jack Charlton fined one of his players for taking the corner and knocking it into the box, even though they nearly scored from it. He says, what if the keeper catches it, boots out the other end, and they go and score? Handball given away by Yoganathan as he tried to get it off Bond. So free kick for Southend. We haven't left this top left corner of the field for Southend attacking in the last 70 seconds. And nor should we. Nor should we. Managing the game, as we say. Which they certainly have. Jack Bridge standing over it. This is Macaulay Bonne. One player for Southend in the penalty box in Tom Hopper.
I must admit, I don't particularly like it, but it's within the rules and it makes sense, and everybody does it, so do it.
Well, I imagine if you looked at the possession stat, actually it's a bit of a snippet of what this whole second half has been like, really. But there have been moments for Oldham, but in the majority, Southend have dominated the possession game. They've kept Oldham away from the ball, and having got that lead in the first half, they've just been able to control the game.
He hasn't made a save, Nick Hayes.
Yeah.
Not one save.
It's just been balls coming back to him. Bar that corner kick where he didn't even make the save. It was a clearance off the line.
No, exactly. Defenders have done the work in front of him. The long may it continue.
So another free kick for Southend in this top left corner. Bonne keeping it away from Caprice. Yoga Nathan tries to push it out, but only into the path of Bridge, and he'll go back to the corner. Those fans really close to the action in the left corner of the Frank Walton stand. Bonne tries to keep it alive, and it does tickle over the byline. It will go out for a goal kick. Less than 90 seconds of this 4 minutes of added time. Still Southend leading Oldham by a goal to nil.
They got their money's worth in the seats in front of the front.
They did. Front row
there, didn't they?
It's almost interactive. Uchegbalan tries to head it on, but only into Taylor. Bonne was in an offside position, so couldn't contest for it as it falls all the way back to Donaghy, who will launch it forward. 1 minute of time left. Fondop.
Who's that down at?
Cav Miley has slipped down again. That would be a frustrating one for him if that has an impact. Taylor tries to head it away. Fondop nudging it forwards.
Corner.
And there is a corner kick for Oldham. It's made a bit of a hash. A cross came in from the left side, took a deflection, bounced in front of Taylor, didn't get his jump right. As he headed up, it needed another defender to make sure Fondop wouldn't be able to head it in. So it is a corner kick for Oldham here, and the goalkeeper has made his way up for this one, Tom Donaghy. Last chance saloon.
Sorry, I'd need another look at that one again. I thought Nick Hayes might have come and cleaned that out when that ball spun up into the air.
So here we go. Feeling of a last chance for Oldham. They whip it in from this left side near post. It comes off of Scott Morrison out for a throw-in. And the goalkeeper will make his way back.
He wants shooting for taking a corner like that in the last minute for Oldham.
That's Corey Evans, just very low. James towards the near post. No conviction on it.
Didn't beat the first man.
No. Throw in on this near side. Scott Morris wins it back and clears it away. And the full-time whistle sees the hands go up and people out of their seats in a significant moment of Southend United's season. First clean sheet since the end of January. Beating Oldham for the first time in a year and a half. Going 7 league home games unbeaten for the first time in a year. And crucially, 1 point away from the National League playoffs. Keenan Appiah-Forson heading into a goal after 11 minutes, and then seeing Southend control this game in a superb performance against 4th place Oldham Athletic. Full time at Roots Hall, Southend United beat Oldham 1-0. And Paul, they probably could have had a couple more goals in this one, but a really controlled performance from Southend.
Yeah, I mean, that first 25 minutes they dominated, and a gentleman alongside me come down from Oldham and he said, look, we don't know what we're going to get from them. One day they look like world beaters, terrific, and the next they look hopeless. Today they looked hopeless, but I don't think it's because of them. I think it's because of Southend. Southend forced them into going long. Admittedly, Oldham are quite prepared to go long and want to go long, and were prepared to do it, but Southend went, okay, we're not going to let you play it short, you're going to go long, and we know you're going to go long, and we're going to be able to cope with that. We're going to be nice and organised, and we're going to pick up second ball, and we're going to win the battles in midfield, which they did, evidenced by the fact that Oldham eventually changed their entire midfield. When Southend did back off and let Oldham have a bit of possession and knock it about, they kept their shape defensively so that there was no chance of Oldham picking up second balls. As I say, highlighted by the fact Nick Hayes has gone 90 minutes and not had a save to make against the side that's supposed to be chasing for promotion. Terrific effort from all of them. A couple of standout performances, I thought. Appiah-Forson and Parallon. Certainly the first half, but even early part of the second half. Going forward, I thought the two of them was terrific. Really asked questions of that Oldham midfield. They couldn't live with them. They couldn't go back towards their own goal with them. And Parallon ghosted past people, and Little Keenan Appiah-Folsom was just all over the place. As I say, everybody else all around him. Harry Taylor was back to something like his best. Nice to see Nathan Ralph come back, Cav Miley get a run out as well, and some hard-working performances from Bon and Hopper. Neither of them had chances, neither of them looked like they were going to score a goal, but boy did they work hard closing the opposition down.
Yeah, they really, really did, and they go round now. I think the one part of this is just how big the atmosphere's been here as well. The players are going around now giving their round of applause as they always do, but the crowd has been super. It's been a real footballing atmosphere here tonight at Roots Hall, which always contributes to games like this.
Listen, it's a proper football ground with proper supporters and two proper teams with proper histories on an evening game under the floodlights. It's proper football. It's great, wasn't it? And it was an exciting game.
Yeah.
You know, it wasn't classic, it wasn't pure football or whatever, you know, it wasn't 36
but it was a team performance.
But it was two teams going head to head, pushing each other. It was great to see.
Definitely.
And Southend obviously coming out on the right end of it, icing on the cake, isn't it?
Definitely. And let's have a little jaunt forward as well. 6 games to go now. Southend 1 point off of Gateshead, who are in 8th. They're 4 points off Halifax, who are in 6th place. Rochdale are between them, but they have 2 games in hand as well. A great place to be, bearing in mind this is probably the highest placed team, bar Gateshead now, that Southend will face in these last 6 games. And I suppose the sky's the limit for them right now going into those final stages.
There's an argument to say you'd want to be playing the sides that are up there, because obviously you beat them, that's 3 points that they don't take as well. So, you know, it's all very well beating the sides down the bottom if you can beat them, but then you don't influence the sides above you. You're relying on somebody else to do your work for you. But they've done remarkably well to get into this position from where they were and with what they had earlier on in the season. My one question would be, like a marathon runner, you know, and you've dropped so far back and now you've worked really hard to get to the front and get up with the leaders again. Have you got enough to stay with them and go with them when they go again?
That's the name of the game. Paul Clark, thank you very much as always. Tom Larson-Wright waiting to hear from you in the studio. 81333 on text, 08000 321 333 on WhatsApp. Start your messages with Essex. It's been a rollicking evening at Roots Hall after the spring sunset. The atmosphere rose at Roots Hall, and Keenan Appiah-Forson's goal was the difference in what's been an assertive game, an assertive performance, and a win number 20 for Southend against Oldham is a tremendous one. Full time at Roots Hall, Southend United 1, Oldham Athletic 0.
Make a difference. When someone has given so much,
it's great to give something back.
I don't know what to say. I'm just a normal bloke.
Celebrate the incredible volunteers, the great neighbours and the outstanding fundraisers by nominating them for a BBC Make a Difference award.
The community was the main thing.
Getting rewarded for it is just absolutely fantastic.
Go to bbc.co.uk/make a difference,
where you can see a list of categories, full terms and our privacy notice.
Coming out here helping others actually helps me.
Nominations are open now and close on the 31st of March at 5 p.m.
BBC Essex.
Make a difference.
BBC Essex Sport.
It's Tom Larson-Wright with you for the final 33 minutes or so of this bumper edition of BBC Essex Sports. Then Southend United back to winning ways. A 1-0 win at home to Oldham Athletic. Blues fans, if you're travelling, heading home after the game, or if you've been listening along with us, what did you make of today's performance? A goal from Keenan Appiah-Folsom just 11 minutes into the game. The difference between the two sides. Were you pleased with how you kept Oldham, a team vying for the playoffs, and they've been in and around there all season, to very little? Are you still hoping for a bit more from your forwards? Let me know. Get in touch with us. The ways to do so: 81333 on the texts, 08000 321 333 on WhatsApp, and start your messages with the word Essex if you prefer to do it on X, formerly Twitter, that's at BBC Essex Sports. And then if you want to send us something long form on email, it's essex.sport@bbc.co.uk. But yes, as Warren said, 6 games left to go, and that win leaves Southend just 1 point off the playoff positions. Gateshead in 7th, as well as Rochdale just above them in 6th on the same number of points, 60 points. Southend on 59. However, Rochdale do have 2 games in hand on the Blues. Then above them in 5th, Halifax Town, 63 points, and they have played as many games as the Blues. Next up for Southend, Sutton United away on Saturday, the 5th of April. Incidentally, we'll of course have commentary of that one on BBC Essex Sports. But a good result for Southend, that Keenan Appiah-Forson goal. The difference, Warren's off now to get some reaction from the Southend camp. So we'll hear from the head coach, Kevin Mayer, as well as a Southend player, but love to hear your thoughts on how you thought Southend got on again. They've gone into a match against one of the teams up the top end and proved successful. It's those teams when they, maybe hoping and expecting a result, a la Boston United last time out, where they don't quite turn up. But all 3 points then for Southend, back to winning ways, and we'll see how they carry on into the final 6 games of the National League seasons. Can they add at least 2 more games onto their calendar for this year? Ongoing in the FA Cup, it's quarterfinals weekend already. Crystal Palace through to the semi-finals after a 3-0 win against Fulham. Ongoing, Brighton and Hove Albion 0, Nottingham Forest 0. They are into 10 minutes of extra time played there. So in the first half of extra time, still goalless between those 2 teams, Brighton and Nottingham Forest. Elsewhere in sports, in the Women's Six Nations, earlier finished France 38, Scotland 15, and Wales 12, England 67. It's 7:30.
BBC Essex Sports.
So Tom Larson-Wright with you for the last half an hour of BBC Essex Sport, bringing you all the reaction to Southend United getting a 1-0 win at home to Oldham Athletic.
Parallon into the penalty area on the left side, cuts back, lines up his shot, save comes in, there might be a follow-up! And Keenan Appiah-Forson will nod it into the bottom right corner. Despite Oldham pushing forward, a couple of incisive passes, Parallon attempting, parried away by Donaghy, but looping into the air, Keenan Appiah-Forson to head it in. And Southend lead a massive fashion in the National League. Southend 1, Oldham 0. Conlon to put this corner kick in. Aims for the far post. As the time it comes off the crossbar and it's cleared off the line. The cross was aimed towards, the corner was aimed towards the middle of the 6-yard box. It came off the crossbar, was then headed back towards the goal, but it was cleared off the line by Gus Scott-Morris, and offside has been given, so a free kick for Southend. They survive that scare, still 1-0. Southend get on the attack again. Macaulay Bond down the right wing, which into the middle, looks for Jack Bridge! He bounces across his body, that will go over the byline for a goal kick. I don't think Bridge got a touch onto that one as he came onto the edge of the 6-yard box. Just a step behind the ball. If he got anything on it, would have been 2-0.
So the Blues back to winning ways, a 1-0 win against Oldham. That means they in the reverse fixture it was 1-1, so they get the points over Oldham, second time of asking, and move to within just 1 point of the National League playoffs. 6 games left to go. Get in touch with us, 81333 on the text, 08000 321 333 if you want to give us your reaction to today's fixture. What was the atmosphere like at Roots Hall? I was around 8,000 there tonight, a really big crowd as the floodlights sound on midway through that match. Of course, the TV camera's interested in your team. You know it's going well, or it's going really badly when the TV crew shows up, and we've had lots of that on BBC Essex Sport across the weekend. We started on Friday night with Colchester United falling to a 2-1 defeat at home to Grimsby Town. Earlier this afternoon, Braintree Town falling to a 2-1 defeat of themselves away at Woking. If you're an Iron fan just tuning in for the evening, want to hear your thoughts as well. Are you confident that you can keep that gap? It's now down to 6 points between yourself and the National League relegation zone. Here's how to get in touch.
Call 0800 111 40 41. Text 81333 and start your message